been and where you going. This is Ari's travel show, yeah. We're gonna talk about travel today. It's You Be Trippin, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rolf Potts back on the podcast. Thanks for, inviting me.
This is our first post-pandemic conversation.
Yeah.
No, we had a remote conversation about Israel, but
That's right.
that's been our only non-in-person conversation.
That's right. I was thinking about that too. That was for your podcast?
That was for my podcast.
What's it called?
Yeah. Deviate with Rolf Potts.
Which I've been on twice.
Yeah. No, more than twice.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to go back and listen to the one that we did on souvenirs because I have this bag of rocks that I have to like mark and put in something, and I've lost the memory of where
I've lost the memory of all my rocks.
Yeah. That one about travel has made me think about the Ruta de whatever in Israel.
Oh, right.
That
yeah.
you did.
No, I tried to walk from Nazareth to Jerusalem, and almost made it. I had to start hitchhiking.
Yeah. But it got me thinking how there's like those hikes in so many countries.
Yeah.
These like multi-day hikes. Yours
Yeah.
is for a pilgrimage, but like just anything.
Yeah. My Israel one was special because I sort of wanted to do it Jesus style.
Yeah.
But,
I would have loved to have seen those pictures of people carrying the cross the whole way.
Oh, it was so weird. Jerusalem is such a weird city.
It really is.
Yeah. And no, there was Jerusalem syndrome. Do you know Jerusalem syndrome?
Yeah, where you feel like Jesus once you're there?
Or Moses, if that's your
really?
proclivity.
Okay. You just feel spiritual, right?
Yeah, and then you decide that you need to stand on the street corner screaming at people about how spiritual you are.
I love Christians.
Well, actually, we're in Paris now.
We're in Paris. Let's start
lead.
this. Yeah. Okay.
No, but there's Paris syndrome too.
Which is what?
Well, people come to Paris. It's usually East Asian people, and they come to Paris and they have all these dreams built up about how wonderful Paris is. And then they smell dog piss in the alley and they run into somebody who cheats them out of a few euros, or they take a wrong turn and they're in some area that's not very pretty, and they sort of have a nervous breakdown because
Interesting.
their expectation does not meet up to reality. And it's called Paris syndrome. It was first diagnosed. Actually, I think it was diagnosed in the 60s. It's in my book, actually. There's a chapter about
Rolf has a new book out right now. This is the advanced copy.
The Vagabond's Way.
Vagabond's Way. A follow-up, I don't know, a sequel?
Spiritual successor to Vagabonding.
Way longer of a read.
So what you're saying is you haven't finished it yet.
I have not finished. I read the other one in fucking 2 days on a beach. This
Right.
one has taken me weeks already.
Hopefully the young people will keep up with this one. But actually, you're in this and you haven't even read your chapter yet.
I have not gotten through yet. Can I guess what the quote is?
Sure, yeah.
Is it don't be an asshole?
No.
Oh, okay. You always repeated that
It's
one.
more zen. It makes you sound really smart, Ari. It makes
hell
you
yes.
sound really profound.
Hell yes. All right.
I don't know if I can give it away now.
No, by the time this comes out, I will have read it and I will say what it is, unless you want to talk about it.
That can be part of your intro, right? But I did want to point out that you've been on my podcast like 3 or 4 times because you bought me mushrooms on one of our podcast recording sessions through Los Angeles.
Live. I texted her, made a call.
Yeah.
That's right.
A mushroom
Found
deal.
your mushrooms.
And for you, that's no big deal. But at the time, I had never done it before, right? And so then my next season began with us sort of breaking down how the mushroom experience went. Yeah. And so, so not only have we had podcast sessions, we've had drug deal podcast sessions. That
have you done them since then?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
You like them.
I do.
Thumbs up.
And that was part of our conversation. I sort of grew up in the middle of the country, and I was, the people who used drugs to me seemed like losers who weren't headed anywhere. And so I sort of was very arm's length about it.
Yeah.
And then I had conversations with you and then Tim Ferriss, who's actually done a lot of science with mushrooms. And then finally it's like, well, yeah, okay, I'll do them. And you bought them. You bought my first set of mushrooms live on a podcast. And that happened.
Forever.
We can talk about psychedelics on this podcast, but we can talk about Paris and travel as well.
Yeah, we're in Paris. I'm here. You know how you talk about how you're like drawn to certain places randomly.
Yeah.
I've just never been drawn to France or Paris.
I was the same way. You and I have a backstory for Asia. Both of us have been to tons of Asia places before Paris. I dirtbagged all through Asia before I came to Paris for the first time.
Yeah, I talked to Louis C.K. I was like, telling him I was taking this trip, and he was like, my first time in Paris. He goes, first time? I thought you travel. I'm like, yeah. He goes, but you haven't been to Paris? And I'm like, I don't know, man. No.
It's such an American thing. We're very Eurocentric, right? And so people assume, I think especially people who are born into sort of the privilege of travel, like their parents traveled and stuff, then Europe is where you go. It's where you go for finishing school or whatever. It's where you go for study abroad. Whereas
it's privileged travel.
In a certain sense, you know.
Well, it's just it costs too much.
It costs too much.
Yeah.
And so literally I've been around the world. I've been to Paris many times because I teach a class here, but I've never been to Norway ever, right? Well, when you're a dirtbag backpacker, $10 for a beer? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no
way.
way.
I could live for a day in Thailand. I could have 3 meals for that price. So my wife has Norwegian cousins, so we're going there after this, and it'll be a first. And so I'm sort of in this second half of life phase of my travel career where I can actually afford to go places. I don't have to sleep in a hostel. And that's exciting too. That's the cool thing about going to, you know, either going to a place for the first time or coming back with money and having both the dirtbag experience and the sort of...
It's way different. I mean, my friends always call me cheap just because of the racial parts of it, and also because maybe I am.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a stereotype, right? Are Jews still cheap?
Yeah.
Are they?
We're not letting that go.
Midwesterners are cheap.
It's weird. I was in Scotland, and they were like, somebody was like, Scots are cheap, and I was like, oh yeah. They go like, yeah, we have a joke like, how was the copper wire invented? And I was like, I've heard this joke. It was, go ahead. And they were like, 2 Scots fighting over a pence. I'm like, that's not the way I heard it. That's not at all the way I heard it.
So this makes the Scots the Jews of Britannia?
Yeah, I think so. They're the Jews of Britain. Yeah, but more fighty.
The Scots are.
The Scots are tougher.
Okay.
But in the cheapness aspect, I guess.
No, I think there's Northern Europeanness to this because my mom is of like Northern German extraction and they just don't spend money on things.
At all, yeah.
Which could be like if you grow out with
Holocaust shit too, or it's like defeated peoples. Maybe.
So were the Jews not considered cheap before the Holocaust?
I think they were. I don't know.
Maybe it's sort of being an outsider community, like sort of it's the whole diaspora thing. Like,
well, in Chinatown, they say the Chinatown Bank in New York has the most wealth of any bank in America because the Chinese people, the immigrants, they
save
tons of. All they do is put it in the bank.
Right. Yeah.
So they're not taking it out. They don't have a zero balance. They're just like put it in there, put it in there, put it in there. And I don't know where that comes from.
This could be your travel book. You should look in the anthropology of cheapness.
Yeah.
You know, you could take away the Jewish stereotype and just say there's an anthropological reason why this happens.
Yeah. I'll call it. It's not just us.
Right. Well, I talk about Benjamin of Tudela in the book. Have you gotten to the Benjamin of Tudela, like the great Jewish traveler from the Middle Ages? Yeah. He actually traveled from.
I saw Levi was in there. Something Levi.
Oh, Levi Strauss. Cloud Levi Strauss, the anthropologist.
Definitely Jew.
No, but Benjamin of Tudela, he was from Spain. He was a Spanish Jew, and he made it probably to Baghdad, but every city had a Jewish community, even back then. Mm-hmm. This is 1,000 years ago, maybe a little less than 1,000 years ago. And so his travel account, and what I talk about in the book is that by the time it got to Baghdad, suddenly India is way more exciting than Baghdad, which was more exciting than Marseille. Well, he didn't go to India and he didn't go to China. And so he's basically saying, well, in India, they embalm their dead with spices and you can see your great grandmother and sit with her and as if she was alive. Well, he just heard that about these places. And so in China, it's like to protect themselves against griffins, sailors pretend to be seals. My point being in this book is that his stories were great about places he had not been. Yeah. The places he had been, he sort of had to be honest about what he saw there. And so usually in the cities he went to, it's like, oh, well, the Jews live like this in Marseille, or they live like this in Beirut, or they live like this in Baghdad. And then suddenly things got really technicolor in India and China because he didn't actually go, right? So literally
he didn't actually go?
Well, he was just telling stories about what it's like.
Because he heard things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So basically he was talking to sailors in Baghdad or Basra, right, who are saying, yeah, I went to India and they embalm people with spices and you can sit in a room with your embalmed great grandmother. Well, that's probably not true, right?
Right. Or these things like I guess, but not. I asked, I was talking to a friend of mine at New York Comedy Club and I just saw on my calendar, we're scheduling something and I saw Battle of the Boyne is a day.
Okay.
On my calendar, some of my UK like calendar stuff still in there.
Boyne, how do you spell that?
Boyne.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah. And anyway, so then we saw this Irish comedian from Ireland. And I was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow for Battle of the Boyne? She was like, the what? And I was like, Battle of the Boyne. She goes, oh, where did you hear that? And I'm like, I don't know. What is it? She goes, I don't really know. But the idea that they all know everything about, you know what I mean?
Is it specific to Ireland or specific to the
Ireland.
UK?
I think it's Ireland, but it might be the UK. I'm not really sure. But the idea that it's like, they do this.
Well, I thought maybe it was going to be a battle that the Irish lost, and
I think it might have been. I don't know. Yeah. But when you hear about it, it's like, oh, they do that there. It's like, no, they have done it there. Is different than a consistent. They do that there.
Yeah. Well, certainly there's. Well, I don't know. You live in New York, so
I've never seen somebody get pushed on the subway.
Right.
But that's the thing they do there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, well, that's what travel unpeels, you know, that I'm sure, I don't know what.
Lies.
You're in Paris for the first time, right?
Yep.
So what stereotypes are you bringing to Paris?
I haven't seen the rudeness.
Okay.
Nope. I have seen it a couple times. On the plane was the first one.
Really?
Yeah. The plane, the guy was immediately like, the stewardess guy was, it's the wrong word. He was like, back up with his hand motions.
Were you on Air France?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was just over it.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be stressful to be a flight attendant in this day and age.
Mm-hmm. And then one restaurant a little bit where it was just like, but I think it was also like a burn and turn place where it was just like, oh, this is for tourists. They don't care. Generally, they've been very friendly and nice.
Yeah, no, we found that too. That and in fact, there's this stereotype that French people are really bad about responding to English. You know, that they're if you want to speak English, they will want to have nothing to do with you. But I think if you throw out the bonjour, you know, désolé, je ne parle pas français. If you make it clear that you're being respectful, but you don't know the language, but you are respecting and apologizing, then they're like, oh, how can I help you? You know, that.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've also just had people just break it and they get it what I am and they just break it in English when I've tried to be like, may I have in French? And they're just like, hey, it's 1 cup.
Has Spanish come out of your mouth since you've been here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I've been in Spanish speaking countries before I come here, I open my mouth. I'm trying to speak French and it's just Spanish is coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a this place word. So it's hablar comes out too much.
Yeah.
What's the parlez-vous? How do you say I don't speak French? Do you speak it?
Je ne parle pas.
I know another way to say it.
Je ne parle pas français.
Je ne parlez-vous?
Je ne parle pas
Je
français.
Ne. I don't. No. Ne is don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Je ne parle. Oh, parle. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I tried, and then hablar just comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't stink.
Right. I'm trying to think the horrible stereotypes about French people. Stink. Well, they do walk around with baguettes under their arms.
They do. It's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah. But not with berets. The berets are gone.
Berets are done.
Do they shorts? Like you're wearing pants. I'm wearing pants. I assume that everybody wearing shorts is a tourist in this town.
Yeah. So this is what I do. You talk about this a little bit in this book. I just got to this section. Hey guys, breaking into today's episode to let you know a little bit about the guest, Rolf Potts, my favorite travel writer, my favorite writing teacher. He's got I don't know where to start. He's got a travel writing memoir class in Paris. He does every year. That's where I was when we did this episode. You should take the class. Small Brain American took it. Baldwin Bankrupt took it. I took it. It's great. Like, it's legitimately just a great way to get your writing together. And first of all, it's just so freeing. It's just like this amazing literary journey through an amazing city of Paris every year. You should sign up for it if you're thinking about it at all. If you have memoirs to write, travel or otherwise. And it's just a sick way to spend 2 weeks in just an amazing city. ParisWritingWorkshops.com is the website. Sign up for it. He's also a writer of 2 my favorite books, Vagabonding, that I first read and I got to know him on an island in Cambodia. I read it and I was like, I was already doing long-term travel right then, but it just like unlocked every detail. And it actually, and The Vagabond's Way, which is this book, this episode's all about that as we move through Paris. if you're listening to this one on Spotify, by the way, head to YouTube. More than any other episode we've ever done. This is one that we did all over the city of Paris. It really gives you a look of what that city is. And the Vagabond's Way, it's one page per day, 365 and a quarter day. It's just a fun thing. I was 15 of those little chapters in. You can skip around 15 chapters into that, and I was like, I gotta get lost again. But the Vagabonding gave me something that I use for this podcast more than anything, which is there's a piece on it. It's like 10% getting ready to travel, 80% traveling, 10% coming back. And the 10% coming back, it had this thing where it said that no one's going to be interested in your travels. Just get ready for that. No one's going to be as interested as you are in these amazing places you've been. Oh, what a fucking cool dog in the back of a pickup truck. I mean, even this, if you're watching right now, even this, you tell somebody, how was Patagonia? And they're going to, it was amazing. I was maybe going to be the title of the podcast. It was amazing. That's what everyone says. The views, you couldn't wrap your head around it. And you can't. And so you tell people about this and go, oh, wow, cool. Yeah, no, I took a drive once in the Midwest. It was really cool. And you're like, dude, don't change the fucking subject. The few people are interested. Sal Volcano will sit there and listen to every detail I have about a trip. And he's interested. What'd you eat? Oh, my God, that's crazy. What did it taste like? Tell me, how'd you know to try that? Oh, I would never try guinea pig. I would never try chantacuros. Beetle larva. Anyway, I'm interested. I'm interested in talking about my own travels, but also in hearing about other people's travels. So is Rolf. So that get ready to have nobody listen to your stuff. Well, that's what this podcast is all about. I'm one of the people who are interested. Please tell me about it. Anyway, take his writing workshop in Paris. It's great. I think Chad might have done it too. Chad Wallen. ParisWritingWorkshops.com. Sign up. It's in the summertime. It's just a magical time to be in Paris. I'm definitely going to go back. They have a beginner class and they have an advanced class. I took the beginner because that's all I could work out. And I got a ton out of it. I mean, it helped my stand-up. It helped the writing that I'm still trying to get done. Just immensely. Then you guys, I don't know. If you're looking for something to do, also, it's so fun. You meet other people. You meet other crazy travelers who have tales themselves, and they're all just trying to express it. God, I can't wait to get this book of stories out for you guys. Anyway, let's get back to the episode. Please sign up. Episode 99. This episode, maybe you know, it's a dead week. And YMH are like, there's no real point to put out anything this week because everyone's off in between Christmas and New Year's. And I was like, well, let me put up one of my classic Skeptic Tank episodes, which is this, that maybe people don't know about, and it fits perfectly well with travel. So this is the first one. I'm going to do that every year. That's it, everybody. Next week, we're going to have the Trippy Awards, the 2025 Trippy Awards. The award winners will be out next week or the week after, probably next week. There's hawks everywhere here. It's crazy. You see him once in a while ripping fucking some animal, some poor sucker, just ripping them apart. And they're just cash. They fly and they look down the whole time like, who can I kill? Whew. By the way, this is my whole fucking drive. Every day. It's been 7 days already of just this. It's getting better and better as I drive south. All right, let's get back to the episode, to Paris. Yeah, also I've got stuff. Please subscribe or wherever you're watching or listening. YouTube, Spotify. I think those are the only places. And take Rolf's class. It really is crazy. By the way, this is fucking every direction. Actually, let me show you here. This is fucking every direction. There's nowhere where this fucking view is not crazy. Okay, back to the episode. Sorry to break in for so long, but I had to tell you about Rolf's class and his two great books, Vagabonding and The Vagabond's Way. There's also Marco Polo Didn't Go There, Souvenir. I didn't read Marco Polo Didn't Go There, but I have read Souvenir. It's also very cool. It's a cool way of... whatever. Anyway, that's it, guys. Follow Rolf Potts on Instagram. Rolf Potts. Oh, and listen to his podcast, which I've been on a couple times. Deviate with Rolf Potts. Start with my episodes. Deviate with Rolf Potts. God, why did I not push that more? All right. Bye, everybody. Back to the episode. Back to Paris. Back to Rolf Potts. look at this. I mean, if I zoom in, it doesn't get any worse. It just gets better and better. Damn. Oh, fuck. 8 minutes. Okay, back to the episode. Again, the book is The Vagabond's Way by Rolf Potts, out now on
Valentine Books.
Yeah.
In bookstores everywhere. Right? What's that?
There'll be an audio book of it.
There will be an audio book. I haven't recorded as of this session. I have not recorded the audio book yet. So
I did a chapter of my friend's book, Same Talent. He had different comedians read different chapters, and the feedback was comedians don't know how to read.
Okay,
because we're all doing it for the first time. We're like reading it as we're reading it.
No, it's a different vernacular. It's a different kind of thing. And one challenge I'll have with this book, I was just saying some French words horribly just now. This book is full of foreign places and words, and so I'm going to hire an assistant to help me pronounce all. Like, it's one thing to see them on the page, but or to read a travel history and then realize that, oh, this is an Arabic word. How do you actually pronounce the syllables in this word? So,
it is we can talk about this as we go. I say we go out in Paris, and
both words
just do this. Yeah, just do this as we go, and like see a little. If you're watching on YouTube, come visit Paris with us, and we'll just do this as we go. This is a travel tip a day, is pretty much
right for but it's not like where to get a baguette in France type travel tips. It's more existential and conceptual stuff. It's like, this is your only life. If you want to travel, this is maybe why you should travel. When you come to another country, this is, sure, you can buy, a baguette in the store or a souvenir, but maybe you should get off of the tourist assumptions and do things that would surprise you, right?
Yeah.
So
here is, it's great. It really has already gotten me like the fever back to like get the fuck out of town. There was something in here that I saw that it is talking about cultures and stuff like that. Instead of, I forget what it was. Instead of like looking at what's up, dude? Naked dude.
I'm not even gonna look.
I don't know, around the courtyard.
Right.
If I saw Dick, I would.
So we're in like a 5th floor French apartment, and we can sort of see into many people's houses here.
We really can. I was walking around naked after my shower, and I realized across the street, there's other people just smoking out there. I'm like, well, I could see them perfectly.
Right.
So,
right.
Of course, you could see me perfectly.
No, and actually, that's a weird thing about walking at night in a city like this, is that you sort of have a window into people's lives as you walk down the street, because these people don't live with big lawns around their houses. I guess in New York it's similar.
I've seen people fucking.
Okay.
Yeah, I've pulled up a stoop across the street and pretended to type in my phone, just looking at people on the first floor with windows wide open.
And what have you been seen fucking? Like, I
must have been.
Yeah.
Like, I must have been.
You just do the math on that, and you begin to wonder.
Are there buildings taller than your window anywhere nearby you? Then you've been seen.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, here's what I was going to say. It was something about, I forget how it came up, but it made me think of this. How you have to look at the customs and stuff. So one of the things I do is, how do they dress in blank? Like Dominican Republic, they don't wear shorts.
Right, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, shit. So I don't want to be an outsider.
Yeah.
Same thing here. And it's the only reason I'm wearing a T-shirt is because my other one is stinky now.
Right.
But no print T-shirts.
Well, I wore a button-up.
Yeah.
Just, because we're going to be out and about in Paris. And
you got to wear a button-up and roll up the sleeves.
Well, I don't know if the rolling up the sleeves is a thing, but that's what I did because it's a little warm today.
They said Parisians they don't even wear short sleeve button downs. They would wear long sleeves and then just roll up if they have to.
No, well, they say like in America we have casual Fridays.
Oh.
And not only, I read this in a book that was published 20 years ago, but not only is that not a thing here, but like someone who has like a New York level of casualness is either American or they are mentally ill in Paris. Like there's no, either it's a tourist who is like that casual, or they are a crazy person who's walking around the street with their shorts and their T-shirt that says "Go Mavericks" or whatever.
Right. Yeah. It said. Reminds me. I was in Myanmar, and we're like, this like army guy was like following us around, talking to us
in English.
A little bit broken English.
Uh-huh.
And we were like humoring him. We had just gotten chased away from like an army like hold up or something like that. They were like, get the fuck out, whatever. They were like, in no uncertain terms, like, you got to leave. I'm like, all right. Anyway, so this guy kept talking to us, and we're like trying to humor him. And then at some point we're sitting in a restaurant, he's with us. And some other guy comes over, he's like, that man, he is a fool. We're like, oh, he's half retarded.
So it's a crazy guy.
Yeah, we're like, oh, no wonder he's talking to us. He just found an old army jacket.
Well, good for him.
He got us. Yeah.
And he probably, maybe in a culture like that, tourists are kinder to him. That they don't know that he's mentally handicapped or whatever, and so he likes that. He's humored that.
Yeah.
In his neighborhood, people are tired of him. So
his crazy stories and his visions.
Yeah.
But I read here, no shorts. If you have to wear a t-shirt, it cannot have any writing on it or no bright graphics. So I only packed plain t-shirts.
Yeah. I suspect that's changing because I've seen so many NBA stores here. Have you noticed that?
Especially I'm in Little Africa.
Okay.
Where I'm staying, Little West Africa.
Well, that could be a multicultural aspect of the city that as immigrant communities become more a part of the French mainstream, it's less formal in that old European way. And so I've literally seen 3 stores in this neighborhood that just sell NBA gear.
Yeah. And there's more French people, Boris Diaw, and there's a few French basketball players.
Yeah. Well, they played pretty well in the Olympics. The French national team does pretty well.
Because they play together. We have infighting just like in America in all aspects of our lives.
Right. Maybe that'll unite us. Once we start really losing in the Olympics.
We did. It just made us hate the Olympics. We're this doesn't mean anything. It's crazy that the America would never just crush in basketball.
Well, this is a famous. Basketball is close to my heart because James Naismith wrote the rules of basketball in my home state in Kansas, and Kansas is the reigning national champions of the NCAA. But I'm an Olympics nerd, so I know this. 1972, the Russians won for the first time ever. Nobody got close to beating the Americans. Then there's sort of a shady British referee. You can look this up.
Oh, really?
And he basically gave the Russians a second inbound when the game was over. They inbounded the ball, missed the basket, and the game was over. Americans were celebrating. You can find this on YouTube.
What?
And then this ref is like, no. And that has to be replayed. So they did another inbound, threw the ball all the way up the court. The guy laid it in. Russians beat the Americans, 1972 Olympics, first time.
By one?
By one. Yeah. I think it was before the 3-point shot.
Wait. What, he was on the take?
I don't know. And I'm sorry for any Brits in the audience, but something was suspicious that this supposedly neutral, I don't know, it was the Cold War, so maybe the British guy was citing, I don't know what happened, but it was a really weird, it's never been explained why the Russians needed it, or the Soviets.
What was his reason? Yeah, what was his reason for another new inbound? Did they not?
Wikipedia could tell us, I'm sure, but for an insane reason, they decided to give them a second chance, and they won. And since then, we've lost the gold many times now.
No, but once we got the Dream Team in 92?
Yes, in 92, because I think in 88...
hey, we're actually going to use pros.
Yeah.
And then it was game over.
Right.
It was who's going to win the silver was the only question.
Right.
Why didn't that maintain? When you see the other players in the other team, it's they'll have 2 NBA players, and we have 12 of the 15 best players.
Yeah.
So how in the fuck do they lose?
I don't know. I haven't followed the Olympics as closely. Yeah. How did it go in the last Olympics? America won, right?
I don't know. We lost once, I remember, in the Pan Am Games or something like that. Some non Olympic, and then we lost the Olympics.
To Puerto Rico once. This was 10 or 12 years ago.
Because those guys know how to play as a team.
Well, no, yeah, seriously. Well, this is the metaphor. This could save America. So if we lose enough Olympic sports that we should be winning, it'll make us realize, maybe we should be a little bit less maybe narcissistic
the right
about
will start being actually we should use trans athletes if we're gonna get some golds. maybe it's actually a good idea
as long as they can set a good pick, right?
Yeah,
as long as they can post up and
dude, I had this secret play I do with my buddy Steve Renazisi when we play pickup. It's not illegal, but it's just we just give a nod. It's the Princeton backdoor.
I don't know the Princeton backdoor.
You just baskets over there. Mm-hmm. You'll go out to get an outlet pass, and then the defender will be too close, but I will not intend to throw it. And the defender sees, I can get that, so we'll make a stab at it, and you just take off towards the basket. So it's the fake pass
and drive
Easy. Yeah, when it's 10-10, you got 1 point to go.
Nice.
It's just you look at Steve, and I was like, hey, guys, left side, go to the left side, and it's an easy 2 every time. That's how those
Ari
other players
Shaffir,
know.
former high school basketball star, telling it like it is.
Anyway, let's get out there with our jeans. Yeah, we'd definitely wear shorts.
We've got our jeans. We're gonna be sweating a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna be sweating a little bit.
We're gonna be flaneuring. You and I have talked about flaneuring.
I love it. I
right?
tell everybody about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to pronounce it.
Describe it.
Oh, well, it's when you're walking through the city, not in a utilitarian way from point A to point B, but just seeking experience. You're walking and you're just sort of following the mood of the city through the city, looking for something new. And one metaphor that's been used, a famous book was written by Edmund White, who's a gay author, and he says it's like cruising. But instead of cruising for dudes, you're cruising for experiences. And you're just walking through the city, not because this is the main boulevard or because I want to go to the Champs-Élysées, but I'm just going to walk through the city and see what catches my eye and follow that instead. And so we can do that a little bit. I have some ideas for where we can set up.
It's also if you have like a direction, like eventually I'm going to head up over there. But then if you're not in a rush, which you always are in New York, where it's like, oh, what's this street? And then you're like, I'll cut back eventually. And then you just don't.
It's a good traveler strategy because there's all these prescriptions. Oh, if you're in Paris, you have to go to this place. You have to go to this restaurant. You have to go to this park. But if you allow yourself to flaneur, and this was invented in France in the 19th century, it was sort of aristocratic men, but now it's a tool that anybody can use. Just let go of your expectations, let go of where you think you're supposed to go, and just if this catches your eye, follow it.
Do you still do the thing where you ask your students to follow a color of the city?
Yeah.
Hey, I tried that in New York.
Yeah.
There was a lot of crossing back and forth on the street.
Really?
It was like yellow. I was like, oh, there's a sign. Then we get there and it's like, oh, there's another one. And then you're like, oh, okay, there it is again. And then like, not the same one, but it's like we never went further than a block.
Yeah. No, that's color tracking. That's psychogeography. That also comes from Paris. The idea, it's called the dérive. It's the drift. You drift through the city and you play games with the city. And so instead of just following the tourist map, you follow the color pink or you follow something interesting. My wife and I saw, there's all these, the Chat Noir. Have you seen it? The black cat, that famous picture, like that Art Nouveau era picture of the black cat. And every tourist shop has that picture. And I'm gonna go off camera real quick because
that's okay.
Basically we bought a shot glass
of one of those
because they're everywhere.
Yeah, what is that from?
I don't know. Actually, we need to look this up. But we realized that our psychogeographical strategy for Paris was finding pictures of this cat. And if you're in a tourist district, I swear to you, every tourist shop in Paris has a postcard.
Yeah, I've seen 1,000. People have them on their walls.
A cigarette. I'll let you hold that.
It's like the most borrowed sense of like space and what's it called?
It's like an old, maybe an Art Nouveau poster, or it's a historical poster that's like over 100 years old, but it's so popular. It's like the Scream or other famous pieces of art, or like the Mona Lisa, right? But I swear to you, this is our psychogeographical strategy the last few days. You can't find a souvenir shop in Paris without this on something.
Wow.
It's on socks. It's on cigarette cases. It's on T-shirts. It's on everything.
Who buys shot glasses, by the way, besides you for the lark of it? But like, who the fuck is doing so many shots at home? Like, what? Just right out of college, fucking idiot is buying shot glasses.
Well, right out of college,
that's it.
Yeah. No, Actually, my wife and I are going to use this shot glass.
As what? Besides a candle holder?
Well, no, we might use it to mix cocktails or to humor our guests or something.
It is good that for measure.
It's a good measure, but no, we don't line up shots back home.
Yeah.
Now this is, what is the culture? Well, actually it is a measuring device. Certainly this was invented, and actually my wife was just here. She was talking about her Norwegian relatives drink aquavit out of a wooden shot glass that they strap to their neck with a leather strap.
Because they're always ready to have
shots are about measuring it, right? So you have the liquor in a glass. I'm spitballing here. I don't know this for sure, but it's like you can't drink too much. So this paces your liquor consumption, right?
I sure. But you're gonna have that at home? It's just weird, and it's a standard for merch is the shot glass. But no one I know ever uses shot glasses at home.
I've used shot glasses before,
All right.
Ari, I'm sorry.
Well,
but I mean,
Kansas trash.
not in the regular sense. But no, I wrote a book about souvenirs, as you know, and shot glasses sell because they're small.
Yeah.
Because you can fit them in your bag, and sometimes they're kind of funny, and you give them to your friend, it's like, great.
You give them
and then you put them on a shelf, and they stay there forever.
They're good for the haha, thanks. And then that's it. That's all they need to be there for.
Maybe, this could be...
It's a weird souvenir that's always done. A t-shirt I get. You can wear that forever.
Yeah, no, t-shirts are great. No, shot glasses, there's probably people with like houses full of old shot glasses that they never use.
Yeah.
They should create a holiday, like a special day where you actually use your shot glasses.
Oh.
Like where you create a social event where you're forced to use your souvenir shot glasses.
Burning Man. That'd be nice at Burning Man.
Burning Man. Burning Man, but for shots.
I'll do this.
Right?
Now you take my shot glass.
Yeah, that's like the janky Burning Man. Instead of building sculptures and doing mushrooms or something,
Arizona State Fair, 1974. Thank you. Here you go.
You just do a shot.
Yeah.
You actually buy specific booze. Now, here's the question. Do you buy fancy booze or just like low shelf booze for the shot holiday?
Right. Interesting. So I brought my friend, Joe DeRosa. He opened up a sandwich shop / bar. And I got him some Mama Juana from Dominican Republic.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a bunch of sticks and flavored twigs and anise and whatever, and then you put a little bit of wine.
So it's a liqueur.
And rum.
It's a drink.
Yeah, it's a drink.
Okay.
And a little honey, and then you let it sit for about 2 weeks. Shake it up a few times. So I was like, hey, you can use this in your bar. But he couldn't sell it, and then he figured out. He's like, oh, we need to have like a section of shots from around the world.
Okay.
And so now he has a whole section of like, and so that sits in it. So people are like, ooh, okay, now it's a selling point. But that's a shot. Mama Juana would be a shot.
I like the shot around the world. Like it needs to be a pretext to do something interesting, or just a challenge to do something irresponsible. So
I like that.
I keep talking. It feels like you want to leave, Ari.
No, I do, but this is also interesting
Are we
conversation.
grinding? Are we going to edit some of this out?
No, we're not editing anything out.
Like
our first podcast went 4.5 fucking hours, dude.
that was
too long.
That was the gold standard.
It won't go that long.
Yeah. Well, but we stuck in Tompkins Square Park. That one. This one, we're going to go all over the city of Paris. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see what happens. If it doesn't work out, if I do get too self-conscious, then we'll just come back here. But let's go Flaneur. Let's go explore a little bit.
Let's go Flaneur some shit up.
Yeah, you can tell this will spark whatever. But anyway, the book, guys. I'm too. So well, we'll talk about the chapters are later. But I'm.
I can explain the book.
Day, January 29th, January 30th, January 31st, February 1st. 1 page each. You'll talk about it somewhere else.
Sure. Yeah, but it's 366 pages, one for each day of the year. Has a quote about travel and a reflection about travel. And it's not just about what things to buy in the city. It's like how travel can change your life, basically. You know, why you should travel. If you've dreamt about travel, why you should travel now.
This is one I'm going to ask you about later. There's an uncertainty about travel that affects. So he starts with a quote. You love travel writers. More than anyone I know, you love travel writers.
I am one.
I know, but
I mean, you love comedians, right?
I know, but but I don't watch as much stand-up as you read travel. There's an uncertainty about travel that affects even seasoned travelers. To travel is to make yourself vulnerable, leaving with your papers and plastic, the high-tech security of your home, and wandering sumptuously among imperfect strangers. Do you know who wrote that?
Thomas Swick.
Damn, dude, nice.
I'm buddies with Thomas Swick. Yeah.
Really? Oh.
It's like you quoting, one of your friends
or whatever, Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
I am drunk. It's that. It's how to be in a place rather than
how to be vulnerable to a place.
Mm-hmm.
I think sort of in the social media culture we have now, everybody wants to be right all the time. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to make mistakes and learn from them. Unless they're performing, making mistakes and learning from them. Whereas the best part of travel is just that you're an outsider. You don't know anything. And so if you can't embrace your not knowing, if you can't just sort of be willing to be an outsider who's sort of lost all the time, then travel isn't going to be as rewarding. And that it sort of puts you into this childlike state again. Suddenly you're this kid, you don't understand what people are saying. They're using these big words. You've studied your French and suddenly you can't really understand anybody beyond, hello, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're vulnerable to a place in a new way. And so I think as travelers, I hope even seasoned travelers, and you and I are pretty seasoned travelers, of not losing that vulnerability where you are willing to just fuck up and learn from it and deepen your life.
This guy, I was buying a pouch of tobacco. And
here in Paris.
Yeah, and I haven't. The last time I bought one was from Croatia, I think. That's the only other time. So I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this. So I'm like, tabak, and the guy's like, okay. And then like, what? I asked him if he speaks English. He was Asian, so no.
Right.
You know, he speaks that, and then maybe, and then French. He goes, no. So we like got our way through it, and he goes, you want a lighter? I'm like, oh yeah.
So you were at the tobacco.
Yeah.
Tobacco shops are called
but he's
tobacco
like,
here.
which kind? And I'm like, he goes, this kind? I'm like, sure. Yeah, I'm not going to fight you over it because I don't know what I'm looking for.
And now, sorry to interrupt, but your aim here is to become a smoker. You've gone your whole life without smoking.
Oh, no. I was a smoker for a while.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to go back to it. Oh,
So
you know about that Kentucky bird? The finest smooth tobacco. He got me filters. Yeah, dude, it's French as shit, bro. Here's this book you told me about. Field Notes, great, durable.
Oh, yeah. No, I have one of those.
Anyway, at the end of it, I saw a post, and I need a durable notebook. This Field Notes thing is it. It's fucking whatever.
Yeah.
It's great.
Did you find that in a store or online?
It took a lot of looking, and then I did find it in a store.
Those are great.
I wrote to the people online. I was like, "Are you making more of these?" And they're like, "No." And then I found it at a store, and I bought the shitload.
Good call.
Anyway, at the end of it, tobacco, filters, lighter, papers, and then he goes like this, and I'm going to shake his hand, and he was like, the credit card. And I'm like, fuck! But you can either be really shitty about it, or you can be like, this is fun, whatever, all right, fun mistake.
You were talking about the guy following you around in Myanmar. People come up and said, oh, that's the town fool.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, the tourists are the town fool. Like you get the privilege of being the fool.
Yeah.
All day long.
Laugh about it.
And then you're also seeing beautiful things and eating beautiful food too.
Yeah.
So.
On the road away from our routines, our life becomes inseparable from possibility itself. Damn, dude. This shit is making me want to get out there. But you're right. It's not like, here's where to eat in so-and-so. Here's how much you should pay for, weed in Denmark. It's,
right,
It's just how to live out there.
Yeah, and it ties into that vagabond idea of time wealth. Is like, time is really all we own. And if you're not spending your time in a way that makes you happy and deepens your life, then think about it. Do you want to travel? Then you would travel, People put off travel for bad reasons. They don't have enough money. They're scared of speaking other languages. I think you'll see, we have another week in Paris, Ari, but my French is horrible, but I enjoy being here. And if you're willing to be a fool, if you're willing to not know, if you're willing to be in that in-between space, is a good thing.
Yeah. I could fucking go into this a lot, but I'll do some of my favorite quotes later. All right, let's get out in fucking Paris.
All right.
Let's get outside.
Next stop, outdoors.
We are now at
Palais Royal.
Yeah. This is gorgeous. What do they do here? Is this the Royal Palace?
I have no idea. All right. This is the thing about like cities that you think you know pretty well.
Yeah.
Is that if we were in the 5th arrondissement of Paris, I
How
could
do you say it?
Arrondissement.
Okay.
And I'm probably mispronouncing it. And I apologize in advance for everything I mispronounce in French, even though we're in France and I've been here many times.
Don't apologize to them.
No, but it's the Palais Royal. This is like the 2nd arrondissement. It's like this is the right bank. I know the left bank of Paris. And that's the great thing about travel is that you can go to a city multiple times and still know nothing about neighborhoods that you don't have a lot of experience in it. So obviously this is a tourist-friendly part of France. We are maybe 5 minutes from the Louvre. I've never been here before.
Really?
Yeah, I've ridden my bike outside many times with my bike. Yeah, they have these little Vélib, little city bikes here. So this is brand new to me, and I am ashamed as a travel writer to not really know what the Palais Royal is all about.
It's got to be Royal Palace, right?
It's got to have something to do with the monarchy years ago. Because look at this.
Yeah, I mean, this is like commoners can't live here. This is for the people. You know what I love too in classical like art, which has really started here, right? And it's in a big way.
Well, in Italy, yeah.
Yeah. It's all rich people doing rich people shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's all like lounging and stuff. It's never toiling.
Oh no.
Or rarely.
Yeah, actually, rich people doing rich people shit. It's very much a part of Paris. And I'm not an expert on this city, but I think one of the reputation for rude Parisians or snobby Parisians is that the upper class Parisians sort of want nothing to do with tourists, understandably. And the people that you end up running into in a time like this, we're here in late July, are going to be in the service industry probably. Everybody who can leave town they're in their summer home someplace.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a pretty friendly time to be here. People try to speak English and they're open to you. But this was built by people who wanted nothing to do with tourists.
I mean, when you just think about, you ever see like pillars like this and just go like, how the fuck? Now I could see it, but like, how was this before electricity? How was this built?
Well, I think they were trying to emulate the Greco-Romans, right? They were trying to emulate earlier generations.
That's what the Fountainhead is a lot about, where it's like, quit trying to do what other people have done.
Is that an architect?
Yeah, it's the architect, but it's really nothing about architecture.
Right. No, so I don't. Actually, my wife and I have been wandering around the streets recently, and there's all these amazing cathedrals that are clearly not used as churches anymore. Yeah. But they are hundreds of years old, often almost 1,000 years old, at least the original edifice. And it was made to sort of give commoners a place to look up to. You know, like God is magnificent because of this cathedral building. And you go in, and it serves a different function. I mean, now stateside churches are like shopping malls, and you can get a latte at the outside, and people are playing.
It's just the bottom of a building.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's just like, especially the Puerto Rican ones. It's just like, it would be a store, and it's just a church, and the people live above.
Right. Yeah. If I was a theologian or if I was a social scientist, I could tell you why exactly it's shifted from an edifice of power, a place like Notre Dame, which took them centuries to build, and it's beautiful. And actually, all the churches here are pretty beautiful, but they're also a little creepy and they're a little empty.
Yeah.
And they're full of candles and really weird art. But that's from a time when, if you didn't have much in life, you could go to church and you saw this art that was amazing in a church that it took 100 years to build, and it made you feel like you were in the presence of something greater than yourself. Whereas now you can go online and find anything. And so the mega churches have big display screens and rock bands, right, or in New York, basements or whatever. So
it's easier. By the way, it took centuries to build Notre Dame, and it took Jews minutes to burn it back down. We called it Jesus too. Right. So here's what I was going to ask you, though. So we found, without using your phone, we found kind of where you were aiming for, the Palais de Royale.
Yeah.
What is it when you travel? There's this thing of learning a phrase that you can use over and over again. Mm-hmm. Like today, somebody asked me if everything was okay, a waitress. And then I went inside to pay. I got from hand motions, go inside to pay. And then when I was paying her, the maitre d' or whatever, or the manager said the same phrase. And I was like, oh, I know what that is now.
Like
that
duck hole?
Duck hole?
Is it duck hole?
Maybe. I already lost it. But just in that second time he said it, I was like, you're also asking me, is everything okay? I get it in like, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
When you hear something enough times, then there's
you get those patterns. It's that state of deep ignorance that you have as a traveler, and you're just trying to find patterns that you find familiar. You know, I think that's why they go into the Louvre and they go straight to the Mona Lisa, because that's the only thing they know about art history, is that's where they're supposed to go. So pattern recognition, I think, is a big part of being a traveler, that you're looking, oh, there's a phrase. That phrase helped me last time. How can it help me this time?
Yeah.
And then, I sort of recognize this neighborhood, or I ordered this in a cafe the last time and it was pretty good. I saw this guy ordering this. And so there's sort of a sweet, hopeful, possibility-filled ignorance in being a traveler in another culture, for sure.
But it's what I'm talking about is the joy you get from like, oh, I know how to get from my flat to here now without looking at my map.
Right.
Or like I got home from the canal, St. Martin Canals.
Oh, you're out by the canals.
Okay. But it was like a 10, 12-minute walk. But the first few times I'm like, I got lost and I looked at my map. Like, let me put it away for 3 minutes, and then I'm getting lost in those 3 minutes.
Right.
But last night I was like, no, I know how to get back. And it's just like, oh, cool. I know a little bit of this area now. It feels good.
I think allowing yourself to get lost allows yourself to learn where you are, right? If you're just always following your phone and your phone is telling you what to do, you don't imprint on your hippocampus how to actually find a place.
Right.
And so you don't learn the lesson. On every continent of the world, I've been lost enough to figure out where I am.
Right.
So being lost is good. It goes back to that vulnerability thing of sort of being able to make mistakes as a traveler. It makes you a better traveler, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like the mistakes is what you're looking for. They have this theory in comedy where it's like if you go into a bad situation, like annoying, like a wedding or of someone you don't want to go to or something like that, like, well, at least you'll get a bit out of it. But like, you can't actually intentionally enter into a shitty situation just for a bit. Right. It has to be thrust upon you.
Well, there's a travel writing thing to that too, that bad travels make better stories than good ones, right?
Yeah, right.
And so you're going to go out and seek a misadventure. You're going to make yourself vulnerable in a dangerous way. Are you going to fuck up all the time? You know, like what's the line between experiencing a culture and sort of creating an incident that you can write about? So it happens in other ways too. That must be a common temptation as a comedian to milk a given situation from material.
Date a crazy lady on purpose.
Yeah. Or to go on the 6th date with the crazy lady, right?
Let me see how deep she goes.
Right.
Yeah.
where normally it's like, yeah, there's no way. But in that situation as well, there could be some material here, right?
Yeah. I think it's a way to justify bad decisions. Like, I'm already going to make this, but I'm like, well, it's a tax write-off, you know?
Right. I hadn't thought of that way.
You actually can deduct a shitty date when you're like, I'm definitely going to write a bit about this. So, like, I'll deduct this from my bill.
Oh, I hadn't thought of it in those terms. Yeah, that date could be written off your taxes if it's a part of your bid.
Yeah.
I think, though, too, I was just talking to somebody about the travel writer Paul Theroux. Do you know Paul Theroux?
I've heard of his name before, and I've seen a lot of you quoting him a lot.
Yeah, and he's been on my podcast a couple of times.
The Vagabond's Way.
The Vagabond's Way. Available in bookstores everywhere. No, but he is famously cranky as a travel writer. He's a curmudgeon. Like, he doesn't like he has opinions about everything. And I was just of the impression that, well, that's just, that's how he travels. It's like the worst thing you can be as a travel writer is a person without a point of view, without an opinion. Like, it's trying to erase yourself from the narrative doesn't really work because
that's journalism.
That's journalism, yeah. The travel writing is about being vulnerable and making those mistakes and showing yourself. Well, Paul Theroux shows himself as sort of the guy who has an opinion about everything, but somebody explained to me that is his persona. That person to person, he's actually a pretty sweet guy, but he's this more opinionated guy so he pops more on the page. In his book, he's the guy who is expressing his impatience with his tour guide in China, whereas I would imagine the parallel in comedy is that you sort of have a persona too, you know, that it's not just you're going on the 6th date with the crazy lady for material. Not that I'm saying that you've done that before, but also you're entering into this heightened version of yourself. There's sort of this narrative Ari that is the person to whom this has happened in life. And it's not the same as the actual Ari Shaffir, but it is the comedic persona Ari. Yeah. And that's
you
probably,
leave out the parts where it's like, I tipped him at the end.
Right.
You just leave that out. You just like, or it's also like wish fulfillment where it's like, I wish I could have said this and this and this to him. So now I can. Because I was having these thoughts. Paul Theroux's like, I'm having some of these thoughts. I'm also like, well, he did show me this place. That was really nice. But it's like, leave that out. It's not fun.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, I think it's a similar narrative persona. And I think this is obviously that we have social media personas where we're a little bit more handsome and a little bit smarter than we are in real time.
That's something we should talk about.
And so you have your comedic persona where you're sort of more acerbic. You're more mean-tempered than you are in real life. Travel writers are actually sometimes more smart. Like all this stuff that I don't know this. If I was to write an essay about this place, I'd do the research afterwards and give it. I mean, that's one thing about one awkward part of talking to you in real time in France, or in Paris, which is a city I feel like I know well. I'm mispronouncing phrases. There's still wide swaths of French, most of French that I don't understand at all.
Mucho mistakes.
And so I'm it's weird. There's my ratio of linguistic. Perfection to time spent in a place is pretty low here. My language skills are pretty low considering how much time I've spent here. Unfortunately, like most of the time I come here, I'm teaching travel writing in English to English speakers. And so I don't really have time to go and make those mistakes that a language learner needs to make. So my Korean, my Arabic, my Spanish is much better than my French, which is terrible. But that's part of being here. It's sort of fun to be optimistically ignorant of the language in a place that's this interesting.
Yeah, you need to struggle through something. You need to have a guy to learn any part of the language. Duolingo is nice, for sure. Duolingo to me is like, I'm learning Spanish a little bit through it. But like, I've did about 10 days so far of French on Duolingo just to learn a few things. It helps, for sure. Fills in the gaps. But it's like Central Park is like when I need some nature. Central Park will buy you like 2 days of like not going crazy,
right.
And then it's like I actually have to get to the woods to get myself for like a month,
right? Like real
so
nature.
Like Duolingo is like, all right, fill
interesting.
in some gaps, but like you have to go and learn, make mistakes.
Duolingo is the Central Park in this analogy.
Yes, exactly. Right. Or having somebody there to translate for you, or having a guy who speaks English at a shop. it's like what you actually need is the guy like, no, I don't speak any English. So in French or whatever language. And he's like, you're going to have to struggle through this. And then you can like learn a word or a phrase. Well,
they say that the best way to really learn language is preferably when you're young, go to a foreign country and fall in love, or like try to court someone you're attracted to. And like, if you can learn enough to start a conversation with a woman you consider cute, then that's just more impetus. Like I took Spanish in high school. I was terrible at Spanish. Yeah. If they had just brought some cute Spanish speakers in.
The winner over game? Yeah.
Right. Then it's like, oh, this is why you learn another language, right? So you come and maybe like I'm here for the first time with my wife, right? And she's good. She studied Duolingo before she came. When she was in Germany, she learned German.
Through that?
And so I think, what's that?
Through that app?
No. Well, through a combination. Central Park and the Forest, right?
Okay. Right.
But I think it's actually through wanting to keep my wife's respect that I'm going to become better at French, because she's going to outpace me in French very soon. Probably on this trip, her French is going to be better than mine. Well, it's an analogy I think I was telling you before we started recording. It's just like I spent a long time as a bachelor, and I just never committed myself in a certain way. And I married at the right time; it all worked out. But in a certain sense, I haven't committed myself to Paris in a way that also involves learning the language. And maybe now that I have committed myself to a woman in life, maybe now I'll commit myself to a language, and maybe it'll be French. You know, that I can. You were talking about how you can read Hebrew.
Spanish, you know Korean.
Well, I have get by Spanish. I have get by Korean. I can impress people by reading Hangul, which is like you reading Hebrew, right? But that doesn't get me very far. My vocabulary in Korean is not very deep.
Hangul is the language?
Yeah, that's the alphabet that they. It's very easy to learn.
What a useless language to learn.
Korean?
I mean, yeah. How many countries do you speak it in?
Well, just Korea. But I mean,
what a dumb thing to learn.
Well, I mean, Spanish, Arabic, English, of course. If you don't speak English already, I'm fond of Korean, and this is the sad thing is that I go to a Korean restaurant in America and I throw out some Korean, and they just roll their eyes and start speaking English.
Really?
Well, I mean,
they don't laugh and go like, "Cool."
Sometimes, like actually, I was in Astoria, Queens once, and I went to a restaurant where there wasn't English on the menu, and so I was ordering from the menu in Korean because I could read it and understand, and that got this grudging respect that I wasn't just the moron who'd wandered in and they had to get the English language menu for him, and that was kind of fun. But usually, this is another thing about a culture where everybody is ethnically the same. Like there's just Koreans and non-Koreans. It's not a multicultural country. Right. And so for a white guy to walk in and start speaking Korean is a little bit weird. And if he's not fluent, then you're sort of wasting their time, you know, that they would rather practice their English on you than to bear your bad Korean. And so I have some friends who married Korean and speak it pretty well, but it's
nice when you say thank you or say cup and cup or whatever in Thai. They go, hey, nice. It's just like a little smile. Well,
yeah, but Thai is a little bit more laid back culture too, and a little bit more friendly and conversational, informal. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Asian cultures, but just in my experience, my Kapkun Kap goes further than my Kamsamnida in Korea.
Interesting.
Because Koreans would rather practice their English than endure your horrible Korean, whereas Thais are just rolling with it a little bit more. That's my experience. God, it's been so long since I've been to both of those places. It's been like the 20
There's
teens.
This video series you got to see. It's this white guy ordering Chinese from a drive-thru in like fluent Mandarin.
Oh, really?
Or Cantonese, I think Mandarin. And then he gets to the front, you know, like you order, then you get to the front, and the guy's like looking like, who's in the car? Like, what the fuck? And then he's like, you said that? And then they go like, they bring people out like, come here, talk.
Yeah.
They can't get over it.
Yeah,
and they're like, no, we just don't see people like you speaking like that.
There was a celebrity when I was in Korea. He married Korean, but his wife was from the southern part of South Korea. She was from Busan, and it's like the Texas drawl of Korea. So he learned Korean fluently, but he also spoke in this Busan Saturi, this Busan dialect.
Wow.
And so it's like having an Asian celebrity in Kansas who speaks really deep Southern drawl or deep Texas accent. And so people just loved the guy because he spoke vernacular Korean fluently. Usually that's not the case. Usually it's the American is trying to learn, and it's hard to learn because Koreans would rather just flip over to English because they're better at English than you are at Korean.
I know somebody lived in Barcelona, and one of their friends took English class when they were, I guess, a year abroad in Alabama. So their Barcelona English was Southern, and it was just like, where did you pick that up?
Well, isn't that there's this white Australian hip hop woman who was studied abroad in the American South.
Yeah,
she does that "I'm So Fancy" song. I'm so.
Sing it. Sing the whole thing.
I'm not going to sing
Show the dance.
A song I barely know on your podcast. No, but I think that basically her experience, she sort of picked up this Southern drawl lilt that sort of gave her cred hip-hop wise, but she's an Australian, right?
Oh, is it the one with the big ass?
Yes.
Who married the Laker or was dating a Laker?
That's exactly who it is. And I'm showing you, like, I'm an old guy. I'm a guy in his 50s who, for me, that's young people music, but it probably happened like 10 years ago.
What was the name of the song?
Fancy. I think it's called Fancy. That'll be the episode music. Her name starts with an A, right?
Damn.
Oh, no. Iggy
Pop.
No. Azalea. Something Azalea.
Iggy Azalea.
Is Iggy Azalea. Yeah.
Dude, her Swaggy P, that was her boyfriend, had this thing where he was doing, they were swimming with the dolphins, and dolphins are weirdly territorial. And they do this thing where he was convinced, he was like, he grabbed me by the bathing suit and he was dragging me down, trying to kill me so he could make time with Iggy Azalea.
No kidding. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, and then I looked it up, and there's other stories of that where dolphins are like, let me just kill this. Like,
well, animals can be assholes. Like, yeah, no, we anthropomorphize animals.
Yeah, we always try to make them into humans, but they're never dickhead humans, right? They're always just like the nicest humans. Like,
that's true. We project sort of this childhood optimism onto animals. I was actually at the Jardin des Plantes across the river yesterday. There's a zoo there. It's one of the oldest zoos. In fact, it used to have.
I went there. Is that by the Botanical Gardens?
Yeah, it is the Botanical Gardens.
I was there yesterday.
Okay. Did you go to the zoo?
I went by it, but then
Did you see the wallabies?
Yeah, I saw the wallabies.
Yeah, the wallabies and the pigeons are like fighting for the wallabies' food. And it's like those dickhead pigeons are stealing the wallabies' food, and probably the wallabies have their own assholes, right? You know, the wallabies are being.
I think there's like kangaroo. Those are the Jews of the kangaroo world. I don't know.
Have you spent time in that part of the world? You have.
Australia?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had a video of a wallaby jerking off at the zoo in Melbourne, I think. right behind me. It was great. It was like 2 minutes long. He was just going for it. I was looking at him. He was looking at me.
Well, when we were watching those wallabies yesterday, those guys have to be pretty bored. You know, the pigeon stealing their food gives them something to think about.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went from Iggy Azalea, who I know nothing about, except that I think she was an exchange student in the American South, and that gave her the vernacular that allowed her to pass as a hip-hop artist.
That's so cool. It's so cool to get like that version of what English is.
Yeah, well... Yeah. Well, one thing I also heard on this trip to France is that French people for generations didn't want to speak English to Americans because they didn't speak it well. They didn't want to be the Pepe Le Pew, French speaker. I could be completely wrong. That's something I heard a couple of days ago. But there's sort of an honor in France and a formality in France where, well, it's probably why I'm not very good at French is that I don't like
you don't want to fail
making mistakes, right? It's why, like in a culture like Korean, where you can really be insulting to someone if you're using the wrong verb with someone who's older than you. And I got, I did okay
in Korean.
in
Spanish. Always use instead just to fall back on that. And people are like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, it'll be like, they're like, don't call me sir, I'm 24.
Right.
Like, it's better to do error that way than the other way. Here's one about like cultural things. So I read this thing on Paris and it said, there's certain things like don't smile at people. It's just not something French people do. And if you're smiling at a woman, that's you hitting on her. So she's going to expect you to ask her out next. And if you smile at a dude, he's going to be like, what are you trying to pull? Right. So they're not rude. They just don't smile. Same as Russians, just don't smile. It's
cultural. This happens. My students, I used to have younger, like college age students, and the women, they'd get in the cab or they'd see somebody on the street and smile, and that is not done here. You don't smile at a stranger, right? Or when you get in a cab, when the guy says, "Yeah, come sit next to me," you say, "No, screw you. I'm going to sit in the back, or I'm going to get in a cab." And so, just some weird things have happened. Basically, American insouciance, American nonchalance, and friendliness and informality is unfamiliar in France, and so people, they mess up by being too informal.
Yeah, I keep watching these dogs struggle over this grating. Every time a dog is over there grating.
Oh yeah, we're actually sitting like 20 feet above a really gross concrete.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. It looks nice on camera. It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sitting in the back cars. I saw once in Cambodia, some woman accused the waiter of being racist because he wouldn't bring the check, just to a white lady. Mm-hmm. And that is here too. They won't get your check unless you say, "Why don't you sit here?"
Oh, that's
but you read it as rudeness or like, "Why is he ignoring me?" When it's like, you pay for the table, like enjoy.
That's
just,
a great lesson of travel, and Paris is a great city for that. I talk about this in the new book.
Great.
Actually,
they don't chase you out. They let you just sit there, roll cigarettes.
Well, we're an efficiency culture, and so it's just like, let's churn some people through. Whereas this is more of an aesthete culture. You're enjoying your meal. You're not going to rush through your meal. You're going to enjoy your meal, and you're going to enjoy the company that you're with. And so for years, I have a chapter about this in the new book that basically, product placement.
The Vagabond's Way. By Rolf Potts, available in bookstores now.
In my new book, available in bookstores now, where people, like my students, will come to Paris, and it's like, I want to see Paris. I don't want to be stuck in this restaurant. The waiter won't bring me my check. And it's like, no, this is Paris. Like the slow meal, the waiter who will wait to bring you your check until you ask for it. Yeah. That's the experience of Paris. And it's actually the best part. Like you rushing off to see the Louvre is not as Parisian as you having a lunch that lasts 3 hours.
It's almost like if you're bored, fill it in with a statue. / the Louvre / whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's like, then go back out. That is all I was trying to do here in Paris is sit at coffee shops, do some writing, some cafes, drink coffee, and just like chill. And it's been very nice. It's been exactly what I was hoping for.
And
get an outside table and just smoke.
You don't want to skip the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre or whatever. I mean, it depends on how many times you've come here. But like yesterday, my wife and I, we walked across the river. We went all through the Fifth Arrondissement. We ate at Closerie de Lilas, which is where Hemingway ate. And it was a very, what are they doing?
They're trying to hit pennies on top
of
that.
They're putting pennies on top. And so we walked through these tourist districts.
You give it up. Yeah.
Close.
Fair.
There was a nice family trying to land euro pennies on this pillar, and because
people have done it in the past, it's got to be a thing, right?
Yeah, but there's
got to be tons of pennies down there. Yeah, it's littered.
Is it littered with small change? It looks pretty gross down there. I wouldn't want to be the guy who picks up the change from down there. Anyway, so this morning my wife and I went out just looking for cheese. And that was very pleasurable to go from fromagerie to fromagerie. We actually went to a patisserie. We went to there's all these businesses that we went to a place that sold fruit, and we just had the best cherries ever, the best peaches ever. And so it was a very French morning. We didn't go to any tourist attractions. We were just trying to buy some cheese, and like the presentation of fruit and cheese and wine and food in general, of pastries, is at a level that does not exist anywhere in the United States. And we were just randomly walking through a neighborhood where you don't want to be the guy who takes out his phone and takes a picture of a bunch of fruit, but you sort of do because it's beautiful. Because there's an aesthetic to everything
sunflower
here.
Seeds from Israel. I'm just like, they're bigger here. And you want to. Henry Rollins was talking about. I know you're like a fan of his.
Yeah, he's in the book.
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah.
He's talking about. Maybe it was him with someone else. Just the things you see instantly, and he says markets are a great way to feel like you're in another country, outdoor markets. Or I was talking to somebody, and he was like, just that the cabs are shaped differently or colored differently, and it's like they're not right-homeable things, but it makes you feel like you're in another place. Those little differences, buying cheese or whatever, or like the process of it.
No, I quote in the new book. I quote Anthony Doerr, the novelist, the American novelist. Like you're in Italy, and like the police sirens are in a different tone.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, and the sea is not cold; it's caldata or whatever. It's hot, and so these small. It's actually in the same chapter I talk about Pulp Fiction. Like Vince Vega is like. It's the small differences. You can order a beer at McDonald's in Paris. That part of being another place is not just the giant monuments, but it's those small differences that make everything different. And in France, beauty is a big part of this city and this culture. And so their fruit is going to be laid out in a way that is mind-blowingly beautiful compared to American fruit.
Or fucking Chinatown, or like in China or a lot of Southeast Asian countries where it's like the market's just like, it's just here. It's on the street.
Right, right.
They're not really making this nice presentation and wiping stuff down.
There are some pretty amazing pyramids. They're doing some acts of physics. In Asia. Yeah. I don't want to knock Asian markets, but there's something very delicate and beautiful about food presentation in this place. And I realize I sound like a weird American who's celebrating France in a very cliched way. But my wife and I this morning, literally, we had a very satisfying morning shopping for cheese. We ended up buying a bunch of fruit and a bunch of pastries and a bunch of pâté, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was as French as any of the monuments you would have stood in line for. It's nice.
I feel like that food here is one of the art forms.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just like they take a care in it. It's just here,
even serving the food.
Yeah.
Your waiter is going to serve food with a pride.
They don't serve the appetizer and the main dish at once. You know, where you order a bunch of stuff in America, just like, here's everything. You're like, come on, man. Like, give me a second. Let me finish this. They really like let you, I don't know, they space it out.
Well, also the recommendations. If you ask the waiter for a recommendation, he's going to know if the fish is good or like where the food is. Like, you should listen to your recommendations. Actually, I made the mistake once of being in a restaurant in Montreal, a Frenchy place, and like asking the waiter for his recommendation and then ordering something else.
No, faux pas. If you're going to ask, you have to do what they say.
Like, he was giving me good, and it's like, dude, I've been in the kitchen. I know what's good today.
Then why even ask?
Yeah.
What you want is like someone just justify what you're already saying. You know, where you're like, is linguine the ravioli better? And you want them to say ravioli, and they go, oh, linguine or this. You go, I'm still gonna get the ravioli. You're like, well, then why? If you ask, you have to do what they say.
Right.
That's I don't know.
Well, that's part of the métier here. It's part of the professional pride of like the waiter who brings you your food, is that he's taking care of you. You know, he's the guy. He's on your side. He's going to make sure that your culinary experience is the one that you're looking for. There's not a tipping culture here. You can't.
There's not. They don't even put it on the bill.
No,
like I thought there was a place where the IVA is included, but it's not.
I thought it was. Yeah, and so it's not unusual to not tip at all. They
just don't expect it.
They don't expect it. They appreciate it when you do, but that's not what they're working for. They're not here to try and make a bunch of money before they go do something else.
Right.
That, like, again, I'm being the American who's sort of talking it out of his ass about France, but the professional pride is a different level for a waiter, for example, in a place like this.
Here's something: taking parts of culture and bringing it back to your standard life.
Okay.
So like in Cambodia / Vietnam, they have these meals that last for like 2-3 hours. It's small little pieces that you'll put on a little grill on a bucket. You've seen those?
Yeah,
like
well, I mean, it's really common in Korea where you're cooking on your table.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Or here, I started to, even when I ordered a croque monsieur or whatever, I was like, I'm wolfing it down. When I'm like, wait, I'm going to be here for 2 hours. Like, why am I wolfing this like an American?
I've been here for 4 days and I'm still trying to slow myself down. I'm still hurrying. I'm hurrying through walking. I'm hurrying through eating. I'm hurrying through drinking a cafe. You don't drink the cafe just to get the caffeine.
Yeah.
You drink it to watch the street scene outside you.
Yeah, you want to it's a shot pretty much. You want to like get through it, but you're like, wait, this is just to keep me here.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the pretext to sit and enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not introducing anything new. Generations of American travel writers have bloviated about how the refinement of French cuisine and cafe culture, but it's true that it's not just about the food, it's about time. It's about slowing your life down and savoring something, because we don't do that enough in America. We don't really savor things. We rush from one thing. We're trying to pack things in. In fact, I quote a Swiss-Korean philosopher in the book about there's two different kinds of time. That there's the active time, and I think it's the via activa and via contemplate. My Latin is not very good, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, it's like there's moments. He says you can't add your life by adding moments, but by stretching moments out, by savoring the moments. Right. And this is a horrible paraphrase. But it's through the experience of duration that life becomes enjoyable, not through the experience of instances. Like, so one beautiful experience that lasts 2 hours is better than a bunch of 10-minute experiences that cannot be savored because you haven't taken the time to savor them. And so I think that one thing that French Parisians do better than Americans is savoring moments, is savoring a walk, savoring a coffee, savoring a dessert or a meal, or savoring a conversation, for example.
Yeah.
Maybe podcast culture is bringing that back to America, that we can just...
Long form instead of 22 minutes out of 30.
Well, that's it. I've felt self-conscious many times that I'm going down rabbit holes, but you don't edit your podcast. So we're just sort of enjoying a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have gems. Right there.
Well,
and it's my job as one of the worst hosts in podcast history of keeping it on focus.
Well, I'm trying to see what's going on in the background of us. Actually, I'm not used to doing these video podcasts. I think this might be the first time I've done a video podcast out and about in a city.
Not self-conscious here. Nobody's bothering us.
Nobody's bothering us, but as a travel writer, I feel like I should be offering something of value about Paris, and I'm just sort of bloviating.
Well, we're going to talk about travel in general.
Yeah, no. I'm more of a philosophy of travel than the specifics of travel guy. Like, I'm not going to recommend the best place to get a baguette in Paris, but I could tell you about how Parisians experience time in a way that's instructive.
So when I gotta recommend something to somebody, I'll try not to say specific places. Maybe I showed you this quote by Olga Turchek, whatever.
It's not ringing a bell.
But it's about how travel writers have a responsibility to not ruin places by naming them.
Oh, okay.
This place, the word's out, the Eiffel Tower, the word's out already. But a restaurant in the 10th arrondissement is like, nah, don't let people walk in your shoes. Like, the point is, when you're in France, make sure to get some baguettes at a boulangerie. They're so fresh.
Right.
Not go to this one.
Yeah. How much more satisfying is it to accidentally discover the best baguette you've ever had, as opposed to looking at your app or getting a recommendation saying, "Oh, go to this one," and then
this was 4.6. That's maybe 4.5.
And then it's full
maybe
of tourists, and whereas you're just randomly walking the streets, and then it's like, that smells good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to order. What, this baguette costs less than $1? Are you kidding me?
Discovery is worth at least 3 points on it was from a 4.2 to a 4.6, on just because I discovered it.
Yeah. Oh, it makes all the difference. Yeah. And especially if it's like some little mom and pop place in a back alley and they've never seen a tourist before. That wouldn't happen in a town like this. It's the biggest tourist town in the world, but you're in some place and you find a place and it's yours.
Yeah.
And the people are really interested in you and they haven't seen a tourist in 2 months. And I'm sure this happened to you in Ecuador sometimes.
Oh, yeah. People are like, what the fuck are you doing here?
No.
Myanmar more, certain places more.
Oh,
but it's
for sure.
like, what? Because we don't, especially in Southeast Asia or in Africa, I'm sure we're like, you look like you're not from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's easier for people like, hey, what's your deal?
Well, I think you and I both like Asia because we're obviously not from Asia, right? And so it's sort of like being a celebrity, like a celebrity with other baggage. You walk in, it's like, oh, you're not from here.
Yeah.
Let's practice English on this dude.
Uh-huh.
And so Europe, I'm still getting used to traveling in Europe in a sense because I don't necessarily look like I'm not from here, Mm-hmm. People come up and they quite understandably start speaking to me in French, even though I'm not near fluent. And so I sort of have to make that transition. Whereas nobody does that as much in a place like Cambodia or Thailand or Korea, because obviously I'm an outsider. And so that's a different travel experience too. So.
And the thing you said about Namibia too, I think it was Namibia where the ones who polish the stones, was that Namibia?
Yeah.
Where they said at some point they stopped seeing you as, I'm paraphrasing, they stopped seeing you as fish.
Yeah, as a mark.
Like, I'm not going to buy anything. So at some point, like, well, who's this person then?
Yeah. And they were great company because their English was good and they were sort of bored.
Yeah.
And they don't usually get to have a conversation. It's sort of a negotiation. And once they realize, one, you're not going to buy anything, but 2, you're going to stick around for an hour anyway. And of course, I did buy some things at the end. But then they're engaged. And then it's like, well, it beats talking to the other souvenir vendor who is the only other person on the Skeleton Coast at this hour. So, tell us about the politics in your country or what you like to eat or how you like Namibia.
You have a $20 bill. Can I see it? What? Like, wow. Let's move on. When we pick up next, I want to talk about hobbies. I want to talk about how this book came together.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about if you, as probably a great traveler, still get nervous. But we'll talk about that.
This is like the opposite of I would be nervous on my podcast if I wasn't hitting my bullet points. But you welcome tangents.
Yeah. All right.
Till next time, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go. I know where we go. Let us talk for a second about the power of chance when you're traveling, of just wandering upon things and
we
finding
turned around
stuff.
the corner and there's a bunch of French people. What kind of dancing is this?
Swing dancing, ballroom dancing.
I think it's just sort of old timey.
Just old timey.
Yeah.
Just old timey shit.
No, but I've seen this in other parts of Paris that there's just places where people.
I think I saw it a couple days ago.
Yeah. Was it by the river?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was smaller. It was only a few people. But there's something that travel, getting lost, something that affords you is just it'll just like give you stuff.
and we turned around the corner, and this was here.
Yeah, this is not where we're headed.
This is not where we were headed. I have never seen this. I relate this sort of dancing to a very specific part of Paris on the river, where it happens every night. But how cool is this, that people are just enjoying dancing for free in the street?
Yeah.
On what is this, a Saturday? Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever come across something here or another place where it's just like, oh, what is this? Like suddenly there's a tomato festival, or
at its best, always.
Yeah.
At its best, that always happens. Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a gift that you only get. So the Jewish or the Old Testament, like God didn't part the Red Sea until the guy took his first step into it.
Okay.
You ever hear that?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
They were stopped. They were leaving. They got to the Red Sea, and they're like, "Fuck, the Egyptians are coming!" And like, we're trapped.
And once he stepped,
this one guy's like, "Well, we got to go somewhere," and he went. And then it's God saying, "Hey, you made an effort. I'll split it for you." I feel like in travel, there's that same thing where it's like, you got out there.
Once you take the step,
yeah,
right. Well, that's something we were just talking about. That if you're always going from point A to point B in order to get from point A to point B, you're not going to see everything that's in between, right?
Yeah.
And so this is literally, we're going to point B. We're in the Palais de Royal. We're going to the Louvre, which isn't far at all. We turned a corner, and suddenly there's people. Probably some of them are tourists, but I would reckon most of these are French people. Although it's a Saturday in July, so a lot of people are off on vacation. But
who would know how to dance like this?
I don't know.
It's
I like
so
it.
cool.
I like it.
Yeah. Have you ever had that where you just like come across it besides this, but like not even a dance party, but just like
at its best? I've been in India. I turned the corner and there's a wedding, and then I'm watching the wedding, and it's like, hey, you want to come to the wedding? And it's like, sure, yeah. I think in countries that aren't as industrialized,
it's recording. Yeah,
that happens more often, right?
That are not industrialized.
So it's rarer. I think we live more compartmental lives in industrial cultures they're less open to strangers, right? And actually, we could dance here if we wanted to, but this is
for sure. Anyway,
this is open to all comers.
Yeah,
I mean it's in public. Yeah, I mean you have examples certainly.
Yeah, or like in Hong Kong, I remember like you see like the Filipinos dancing, and I talked to the Hong Kong people I knew. They were like, they get 1 day a week off and they party. So they're out by the ocean or the river or whatever, and they're just like, they're going for it. But like you have to just come across. That's not a tourist stop. So there's no one's like on the itinerary to go watch them party.
Right. Yeah. No. There's no guidebook that lists this.
Or you come across a game like a sports event where you're like, what is this? You're like, oh, they all play volleyball here.
Sports is a great example. And in fact, I think I've told you before, I got my ass handed to me in volleyball in Cambodia on a field where I was the tallest guy by a head. And that was kind of fun to get destroyed in volleyball. Also, when I was in Myanmar, I know you like Myanmar. It's a story I've told before, but one thing led to another, and this guy said, you want to come to a Pue? Well, it's this all-night festival. Like, basically, there's another story that's in the book, but I asked an old man for directions, or actually asked an old man what this noise was. Because this really loud noise, singing coming from some temple. I asked him what it was. He wasn't sure he didn't speak English. He took me to his grandson's school. I spoke to the students. The students took me to the festival, and there's this crazy performances going on, including, there were marionettes, there were puppet shows, magic shows, comedians, believe it or not.
Nice.
And there was a drag cabaret. There's like a trans cabaret show that is not in the guidebook, I swear to you.
Yeah.
But it was just there. And this was like before trans anything was in public conversation in the United States. I turned to the kid beside me, and it's like, is this what I think it is? And he's like, yeah, it's gay play. It's a performance, And so they were fine with it. And I wouldn't have found that in the guidebook, that basically I accidentally stumbled into this performance that was not created for my benefit.
Where was this?
In Myanmar.
In Myanmar.
In Bagan.
Wow.
In Bagan, near, not Bagan. It's in Pakoku, which is near Bagan.
Okay.
Yeah, and this wasn't created for tourist benefit. I think this is a local thing.
It's just like we got to do it in the square.
Some people really know what they're doing.
Some people really know what they're doing. It's pretty badass.
They're really enjoying themselves. I'm not going to take you on the dance floor. All right, if my wife was here, I would pull her on the dance floor.
That guy's good. That guy's terrible. That guy's really good with the shorts and the baseball cap. Damn.
Yeah.
Anyway.
this is the Lindy Hop or something from like 100 years ago.
Yeah. This is one where it's like, especially if you're at that cafe, we're like, oh, sick. Like, just sit there and watch that.
Yeah, no, this is, yeah. I've seen this.
Lindy Hop. Yeah, it's something like that.
Sometimes you get invited in, and it's open, and nobody's keeping score. Like it's not a dance studio. You can dance poorly.
That's how Berghain was. I wasn't dancing at Berghain. I mean,
these people are enjoying themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. The chick in the blue dress, her dress is made for spinning.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. All right, let's go to the next spot.
All right. Yeah.
It's so cool. I wish I could dance like that.
This is actually easier than Latin dancing in my experience.
Really?
Are we still rolling?
Yeah.
Latin dance, like this is basically the 1-2-1-2 beat we're used to, whereas like salsa is the 1-2 pause. It's like there's sort of a rest beat. And so you could learn this, Ari. You could learn this in a month. You could also
in a month
in Latin America. It's called the vueltas, the turns.
Wow.
See how they're spinning each other?
Yeah.
Those are actually pretty easy to learn.
What?
And since this is North American music, basically, this sort of jazz-derived music, you can keep the beat more easily because you grew up with this sort of beat. And I'm not a musicologist either, so I'm not sure what kind of beat it is. But
this dude's sick.
Yeah.
What?
Look at that. They know what they're doing.
He knows what he's doing. How does I ever not get laid? He should never go a single day without getting laid in his life.
Well, no, if you look at this, and it's even more obvious in the tango parts, where these craggy old men are dancing with these lithe, beautiful women because they're good dancers.
Ferris talked about it to me when he took tango and whatever in
Buenos Aires.
Yeah, and he goes, it's the Silver Foxes. All the women were like, I want to dance with that guy because he knows what he's doing because he's been doing it for 40 years.
Well, also Latin dance is very much led by the male. There is no egalitarian dancing that the woman follows what the man is doing. And so if you have a less experienced male dance partner, it's not as fun.
Right.
If he knows 2 moves and can barely keep the beat, then it's not as fun as having that old guy. And you'll see it when you go down the river and see the tango dancers, that basically these old men who are nothing to look at but are good tango dancers, they're who all the women want to dance with. Yeah. I'm not saying that they're having love affairs, but they're good. Let's go back in here. Yeah.
I went to dude, I don't know if you have this problem where you remind me of stories.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
like talking about travel. Goes like, oh yeah, I had one time. Oh, that reminds me of this one time.
No, that's the beauty of travel, is that everything connects. Because we saw this, I thought of something in India, you thought of something in Myanmar, I thought of something in Myanmar.
Yeah, right. It's like one step.
and so it's all like, well, and then my mind, I'm a little bit jet lagged, so I'm not as sharp. Like I can't think of like the 6 greatest times I've stumbled into a festival. Like I rolled into Cairo once while they were having, it was Ramadan, right? Oh. And so you walk down the street and they have I forget what it's called now, but it's the sundown dinner. It's the al-fitr or something, where you go and you dine together, because you're not allowed until the sun sets. You're not allowed to eat, but people are really hungry by the end of the day in Ramadan, and so it's pretty easy to get invited to these feasts, especially if you're not being a dick about it. You're not swilling your water when other people can't. But no, it's these moments, and weirdly enough, often they are religious. You know, these occasions wherein somebody is celebrating a Hindu holiday or a Muslim holiday, and suddenly you're invited to be a part of it.
Yeah.
All right.
No, stay. Keep talking.
Okay. Yeah. And actually, this happened to me when I was in Jerusalem. It was, what's the day when everybody drapes themselves in flags and they walk around with the Star of David and the flags?
Yom HaAtzmaut or not Yom HaShoah, Yom HaAtzmaut, the Independence Day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was Independence Day. And it's sort of the 4th of July with the Star of David. Uh-huh. And it's just a lot of Israelis out having fun. And I don't look very Israeli, but I was invited to walk along. But they're like, come on, dude, we're partying. Yeah. And so I think there's something about, it's I write about it in the new book, available in bookstores everywhere. It's communitas, right? The Vagabond's way. It's communitas, the idea that you might not speak the same language as this person. Usually it's felt among other travelers, is that you're sharing the same experience. You're not, even if you don't speak the same language, you're doing the same thing together. Like when I was in Sri Lanka, I did the hike up Adam's Peak. Have you been to Sri Lanka?
No, and looked at Sirigaya? Or is that a different one? Sigiriya?
Sigiriya is great, but this is different.
Oh, okay.
Adam's Peak is the second tallest mountain in Sri Lanka, but it's holy. And the Hindus think that it's Shiva's footprint. The Buddhists think it's the Buddhist footprint. The Muslims and the Christians think it's Adam's footprint. But
just some dude named Bill.
What is interesting is that everybody's making the same hike. It doesn't matter what you believe in, that you're all walking up the mountain in the middle of the night, sweating, breathing hard, and that creates communitas. It creates the idea that regardless of what language you speak or your approach to this place is that you're sharing the communitas of that experience. And so I would imagine if you were an attractive woman, you could go up to a Silver Fox tango dancer or dancer here, and even without language, you are part of the communitas of what this is.
Yeah, you got to be part of it. It's like, you ever hear of Sleep No More?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're lucky, while you're in Sleep No More, if you're dressed up, they will one of the actors will take you into another room and you get to have this special scene.
Right, yeah.
And a silver fox going up to a woman, going, come in, that's like that moment where like you're part of the culture.
That's almost like an institutionalization of what can happen in this situation where you're invited to the wedding or you're invited to dance by this craggy old guy who's actually really good at tango. And that creates this community. It's not cerebral. It's not about you sharing ideas or a language. It's about you sharing an experience, and that makes it different. Dance is a great example of this, but also like religious festivals or other things. Like I'm thinking of a thousand things at once, but actually the physical act of something. It's like a hike or a pilgrimage. Part of the pilgrimage is spiritual, but part of it's like me walking across Israel. Part of it is just the physical act of doing it. And if there are other people doing it as well, you share that with them, even if you don't share other things with them.
That's something you wrote about in the new book too, Vagabond's Way, available now. Guys, just buy it. Just click on the bottom link and buy it. But like, it's great. It's easy fucking reading. 1 page per day. You can stop at any moment.
It's for people with short attention spans.
Yeah, I told you, for a pothead that's been addled with fucking loss of brain cells, it's great.
Read a page a day and think about it.
Yeah. But that
gift.
That pilgrim who went from Ulm, I just read that one, to Jerusalem, and as soon as he started going, he's like, fuck. He didn't say that, but he's like, what am I doing? But it's that sense of travel. It's like, forget the reason you're doing it. He's doing it for religious reasons, but it still was like that same like, ooh, the unknown.
Yeah,
that was still present.
He was barely outside the gates of his hometown. It's like, what am I doing? This is the dumbest thing. If I didn't look like an idiot, I would go back right now. Well, he ended up walking to Venice. He took a boat to Jerusalem.
Oh, that resonated with me.
Yeah,
because my first day in Myanmar, I was like, I made a mistake. I have to come back. Yeah. And the same thing where he goes, if not for the shame I would feel, because I told people I'll be gone for a while, I would have just gone back.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I think it's good to give yourself permission to feel that.
Yeah.
I think nobody's the perfect traveler. Nobody always knows the perfect place to go. That unless you feel that shame. We would never have seen
this. There's no way you could stumble upon this if not by chance. You would have to research dance.
Maybe there's a Paris app that shows you where the public dances are going.
Whenever they have these in New York, I'm like, how do they know about this? They have these in Washington Square Park. I'm like, who tells people about this?
Well, I think if you're in the dance club, of course you know about it.
Yeah, right. If you're in the club.
Yeah.
So I was in Medellin, and we went to a nightclub, a Cuban dance nightclub.
It's a very modern city, I found.
Oh, yeah. It's great. And me and Colombia. This girl in my class and her boyfriend, we all went. And it was like this one dude was so good at dancing. And we were like, I'm like, get him to ask you to dance. She goes, I'll try. I don't know how to do it. And he would just go up to women and he would just like stand over them. And he knows he's the best dancer. And he'd like walk around. And then he would stand up next to a woman and just go like that. And like, all right. And they would just go. They were waiting for him to ask. She went back. I left. She stayed like a month. She goes, I went back. She goes, that guy asked me. And she goes, he's just throwing me around.
Well, that's so much pleasure for that guy. You know, that's what he's good at.
Yeah.
It's like the guy who can fix your garage door is going to offer to fix your garage door. The guy who's good at dancing, he has so much pride in that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to show you how to do this. And you're like, yes.
And look at all the pride that's behind us, you know.
Yeah.
That it's basically, you've learned a skill, you've learned a craft, you learned an art, and it brings you pleasure. This is another Parisian thing. It's one thing to watch your screen and get pleasure from Ari's comedy special, but it's another thing to physically come and dance.
And do it.
Yeah, and dance well.
Yeah.
And so that's the fun thing that we discovered by accident here.
The best rendition of a story I ever told was I was in Outside Lands in San Francisco Music Festival, and I was on a shuttle back to, I was a talent, quote unquote, and so we're on a shuttle back into town. It's from Golden Gate Park. And so it's some agents and some like maybe a band or two, you know, but nobody big. but we're in the shuttle with me and my comedian friend and like 8 other people we don't know from different walks. Somebody goes, does anybody know any stories? And I go, oh, I am uniquely enabled in this situation. And I was just told a crushing story about shitting myself in Australia.
You were the best dancer in that van.
Yeah. It was like, it'll never be this good again.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
All right.
Hobbies when you're traveling.
Yes.
So one thing Henry Rollins does, I've talked to you about what I do is try to find some dumb fridge magnet, you know.
Right.
But Henry Rollins just likes going to record stores. He's super
okay,
into
that
record
makes
stores.
sense. Yeah.
And some people like going to art in a place, museums. We are now at the Louvre, maybe the most famous museum in the world, possibly.
I would say so.
Yeah.
And the most famous single piece of art, they say that 80% of the people who go into the Louvre every year, and this is millions of people, go to the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. That's all I would do. I would just go in there, and then somebody told me, like, the Venus de Milo is there too. I'm like, heard of that one. I heard of that.
That's the one without the arms, right?
Yeah.
No.
That guy with the dick.
No, but I mean that's the whole thing. Not to do overkill, but that's when you have expectations, when you know what you're in there to see. Everybody makes a beeline to the Mona Lisa, and it's like, then they're all disappointed. Well, of course, you know, why would you have that much expectation about the Mona Lisa? It's not that big, right?
It's too small, right?
Yeah.
It's like not big enough.
And then, like, you're in this Museum of Great World Art. If you're so focused on the Mona Lisa, think of something else. But again, if you're a chemist and you're thinking about how the paints were different in the medieval era while they were painting these pictures and how the paint may have changed over the years.
Yeah.
Or if you're a security guard and you're looking at how the security
Walk
guards
back as we talk.
are how the security guards are, you know, dealing with people in a situation. I'm not saying that everybody has to channel their job into travel, but
She's doing it.
But it's a good principle.
Thing.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so cliche that it's fun. I took a picture right there of some woman making her boyfriend take the picture of hold my hand as I walk away.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, with the ring or without.
No, travel has become so much more performative because of things
really
like
is.
Instagram. Like, who would have thought to do the hold my hand thing 20 years ago, right?
It's the new version of it. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, it's like, if I didn't take a picture, did it even happen?
Well, true story about Paris is that if you walk on bridges, they've actually had to take the fences off bridges because so many people were putting padlocks on them, love locks.
They're selling
that they were falling into the river. And I read articles about how the ancient habit of putting your lover's name on a lock and putting it on the bridge didn't happen before 2010. That is a brand new thing that became a total. Everybody's doing it, so I'm going to do it. I'm here with my girlfriend who I might be broken up with in another week, so I'm going to do it type thing. And so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think conformism.
In a week. That's
well,
what it is.
Just like it's the perfect example.
They sell them £3, €3. You can get a lock.
They do now, so that's an institutionalized thing.
Yeah.
If you had come here in the year 2005, nobody was putting a love lock on bridges. Why? Not because it wasn't a good idea, because it's kind of cool, but then everybody's doing it. So now that they have these plexiglass walls on the bridges, because the wire ones were being torn down by the weight of all these padlocks.
That's interesting.
So a lot of tourist rituals are now photographic tourist rituals. Like I'm sure since we've been here, different people have been holding the pyramid in their hands.
Yeah.
It's a tourist activity that only exists for certain cameras. And so of course they didn't have this pyramid here.
Sometimes they'll have
200 years ago.
Exactly. Sometimes they'll have like a picture plaque in certain places in a beach town in Spain. They had that, like, this is a good spot to take a picture.
Yeah.
It's part of the government has generated these signs.
Well, this is another thing that's in my book, is that before there were cameras, you used to bring a sketchbook, right? And the guidebooks to places like Paris would say, if you have your sketchbook, go to this overview, and it's a good place from which to draw a picture of the city.
Right. Interesting.
And so visuals have always been a part of how travelers have traveled, even before cameras. And so literally people would exchange tips on the best place to draw a sketch of, this is before the Eiffel Tower, but of the Seine, maybe from Montmartre was probably not there, or the Sacré-Cœur was not there either, but just you're sharing ways to capture a certain place in a certain moment. yet you're back in the day, you're drawing it instead of taking a picture. And so there's an exercise, we might do it in class this week.
Oh, cool.
Instead of going and taking a picture of a place, spend 2 hours in a place, draw a picture of it. And how does that experience, how does it affect your experience of it? Because you have to notice more. You have to slow down and see more and notice more. And so that's another way.
I was thinking that trying to sketch something where I'm like, I don't know how to do it. Because I saw these people in the Musée d'Orsay sketching. I'm like, what if I just join in with them? There was this dunk contest at University of Maryland, and I was like, I'll line up and try it. And I mean, I didn't even get to the net height, and I slammed it backwards, and I was like, did it go? And I was like, shut up. Like, I don't know. I'll try it. I'll write a sketch.
Yeah. Well,
are you doing one?
Am I doing
a sketch?
A sketch?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking comedy sketches for a second. I as the teacher, I usually don't do it, but I should.
Yeah, you should.
Because it forces attention. It's another way of getting out of what you think you're supposed to do. And what I found with my students is that they'll come to a place like this and they'll start sketching, and then tourists will come up to them because they want to know what is important. And they become a tourist attraction in their own right, because suddenly it's like, why are they concentrating? Why are they paying so much attention to this thing I just walked by?
This must be an important one.
This must be a thing. And maybe that would happen less likely here.
Yeah.
But no, it's a thing. It's a way, again, back to time. It's a way of slowing down time. It's a way of forcing yourself
to stay right there.
To spend. You can take a better snapshot of this in a second than you could for 2 hours of sketching, but you'll experience more in 2 hours while you're forcing yourself to sketch.
Yeah. So what hobbies? No, I'm afraid that this did not go on. I'm always afraid I didn't press record. What hobbies do you have on the road to get you moving?
Well,
like
that's
records.
a good question. Is it going?
It is.
All right.
Yeah. Do you have anything like that or not really?
Not
Thrift
like
stores,
food. Like
part
of what it made it interesting, this long walk for cheese
there goes.
this morning with my wife, was that she really loves cheese, and that sort of structured our walk, that she was looking for the good cheese.
Yeah.
And she was looking up words for certain kinds of French cheese. That's not my thing.
That's
actually,
cool. Food is a good one.
Food is a great one. Actually, running, sometimes I'll go for a run, just as sort of a fitness thing. It's funny that, like, the fact that we're here with microphones gives us a kind of authority, and people are being very polite and deferential for that reason. And so it's almost this community.
Lo-fi. It's like, look up Daniel Johnston, that kind of music.
It's very sweet that people are trying not to walk in our field of vision here.
Sometimes I'll be shooting a movie in New York, and they'll be like, hey, don't go yet. And I'll have to be like, fuck off. I'm not in this movie. I'm going home.
Right.
Like, no, you don't have to tell what to do. Give me a Coke then.
Right. I have my SAG card.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you got besides going to get fromage? There must be stuff that drives you around.
Walking, running. I'm a great walk until your day becomes interesting guy. That basically
you just get out and go.
Just get out and go. In fact, that's a great way to spend your first day in a city. Is just start walking around. You get lost enough times, and pretty soon you stop getting lost because you know where you are.
So, dude, I was starving. I landed. I went back to my place.
Here in Paris?
I'm Paris,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Took a nap. It was an overnight flight. Took a nap till about 4:35. So I'm like, I woke up and I'm like, what day's almost over? I was like, it's not almost over. Sunset's 9:45 or something like that. So I'm like, oh, get out there. And I'm fearful of opening my mouth and seeming like a foreigner.
Yeah.
And so I'm just walking and walking. And then eventually my stomach gets the better of me. I'm like, I have to do this or I'm going to just be hungry. And then eventually you're like, go through it. You just deal with it.
So
but being out walking is like, I have no options here.
Right.
I'm saying walking is a good one.
No, walking is always good. In a way, that's a cheat answer, because walking, whatever your hobby or obsession is, walking is always. Sorry, I was talking with my microphone down here. No. Walking is always a good option because it just takes you into places you hadn't expected to be. Do you have a hobby? Do you have an operating principle? Do you seek out comedy stuff, or do you?
Yeah, sometimes I'll go see a comedy show.
Okay.
I found one in my neighborhood here.
Okay.
I took a picture. It's on there, but I got to check it out. A foreign comedy is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen in a lot of places, so there's no sense of looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one in Ecuador, for sure. But it was all like one-man show stuff. There's some in Norway. I don't know. But thrift stores? No, maybe I don't have one that it's like a go-to one, like record shops, like with Rollins.
It occurs to me that I feel bad that I don't have a quick answer for you, but I think as a travel writer, I'm always looking for different frameworks from which to experience a place.
Yeah.
So as a travel writer, like when I was writing my souvenir book, that was my thing, souvenirs.
Souvenirs, right.
I wasn't typically a souvenir guy, but suddenly I was having these really interesting experiences with souvenir vendors who weren't used to people being curious about them, right?
Right.
And so I think it's sort of an automatic cheat as a travel writer that I always am able to, whatever operating principle of my story is going to be my excuse. That's going to be my hobby.
Right.
But it's always walking to an extent, but it's always something within the framework of the story I'm trying to tell. So for one book, it was souvenirs. There's different frameworks. Like once I just wanted to walk into the desert. In fact, that cover of Vagabonding is from that day that I just walked in the desert. I just wanted to feel what it was like to be in a sea of dunes. And that was my operating principle. And it worked pretty well.
Yeah. I guess mine are food, try some flavors of the place, and get that dumb fucking fridge magnet. But that's more just to get me out of the apartment, just to get me like moving.
No, I mean, that's why this week we'll talk about psychogeography, that just the idea that you're going to follow a color or you're going to follow a smell or you're going to find ways to play games with the city, because that will reveal things. Like we accidentally stumbled into people dancing, which was awesome. We didn't even need a psychogeographical principle. We were literally trying to come here. But we accidentally found this cool dance experience. And psychogeography is it's called psychogeography. It's a way of tricking yourself into stumbling into those experiences because you're following the color pink, you're following the smell of baguettes, you're following some principle that doesn't really make sense, but it yields rewards. You know, like my wife and I were looking through this Chat Noir, this old magnet that's in all the souvenir shops. So suddenly we're looking for black cats, and that's our operating principle, that we're looking for black cats, but suddenly we're seeing aspects of Paris.
Let's go find one of these. And fill in whatever these is. That's the X.
Exactly. And in a way, that's a better travel principle than your tourist map. And I don't want to knock tourist maps.
Let's say we stopped, and let's say you and I were dating, and somebody was like, "Hey, do you want to come dance?"
Right.
And we were headed to the Louvre to actually go in.
Right.
We would need to be able to go, yes, fuck the Louvre. I'll go back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Forget whatever reservation I had. We can eat anywhere.
Right.
Because you've been invited into some chance encounter. So you got to you ever hear that story of a man was drowning? It's like a Bible-y story. Man was drowning, and then somebody came by in a rowboat and said, "Hey, do you need help?" He goes, "No, God's gonna help me." You heard this one?
Yeah.
And then
God is like,
a ship went by. He's like, "We need help." Like, God will help me. It's like, I sent you a boat. I sent you a ship. I sent you a whale. Then
there's this nun who keeps praying to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Every day she prays to win the lottery. Day 200, she's praying, "God, you've forsaken me. Why haven't I won the lottery?" And the heavens open up, and God says, "Buy a ticket." So I forget what point we're trying to illustrate with this.
Be able to say, "Fuck the Louvre."
Yeah,
I'm staying in this.
No,
this
basically,
is the moment. The Louvre is an outline of.
There's what you've come here for, and there's what the place has offered you. And if you can't embrace what the place has offered you, then you're selling your experience short. You might have a perfectly good experience of the Louvre. You might see this artwork that you sort of studied about in art history class, but then you're missing out on the dance. You're missing out on the crazy guy who wants to show you his pet.
Yeah. I had two
rats.
things to see in Southeast Asia: Vagabond and not Hoi An, with the big
the Shan State place, the boats.
No, that was in Southeast Asia. That's only in Myanmar. I'm talking about all of Southeast Asia. In Vietnam.
Oh, Angkor Wat.
No, Vietnam. They have those big pyres of islands. People go out there. Not Hoi An.
Oh, in Vietnam. Yeah. Hoi An in the northern Vietnam.
Okay. Yeah.
In the Bay, Ha Long Bay.
Ha Long Bay.
Yeah.
Two things I want to see in all of Southeast Asia while I was there. I ended up saying Bagan, not the other one, but the whole trip was one of the greatest trips of my life because it was like, that's a fucking framework.
And I think until you discover that by accident, until you're like sitting in the hostel or the guest house, and you're hearing somebody a couple tables over talking about this amazing experience that they had last week, and it's like, hold on, where did that happen?
Yeah.
Really? That's just up the river from here? This is what happened with Sigiriya in Sri Lanka, is that Sigiriya is this hilltop, this plateau top fortress in central Sri Lanka that's just this amazing feat of human,
like how they got water up there.
Urban engineering and aquatic engineering. I had no idea it existed until I went there, and I'm there, and it's like, why did I not know about this place? And I think if you allow yourself to stumble into those places and to listen to where other people have gone, and to allow yourself to make mistakes and to just say, I will go dancing instead of going to the Louvre, then that's when travel really becomes
Bali,
interesting.
Some guys, like, you see the he was like, well, how long are you gonna be here? I'm like, I don't know, like Asia, like a few months, I don't know. You go see the Komodo dragons. I'm like, I've always been into those. Where are those? It's like 2 islands over.
The island of
like,
Komodo, right?
What?
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, new fucking plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice when it fucking rewards you like that.
Yeah.
Let's one more thing and then we'll move on. How did this book come together?
Well, it came out of the pandemic.
Okay, like a lot of great art. Will
This is the thing. It's actually a long answer. Should we do the whole answer here?
let's save it for somewhere
Okay.
else. I'll definitely gonna come back to that.
Because it's tied into my entire life, as you might have gathered from the entries in the book.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of you in there for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not completely you. It's also like what you.
But I've also been keeping notes on everything I've read as a traveler for 25 years, and I've been keeping really nerdy, obsessive notes, and so it shows up in the book. But what interests me of travel is just that the human texture of travel, of how it changes people's lives and forces them into situations they wouldn't have considered before. And people who traveled in Japan 800 years ago or Egypt 3,000 years ago have had the similar human experience that we
similar
have.
human experience.
Yeah,
Exactly right. It's not
Yeah.
the same thing, but it's a similar human
But
experience.
it's similar.
Being in the unknown.
Yeah, and being forced. This is why pilgrimage was interesting. That a lot of pilgrims, they would leave their smelly little village in Europe, and then they would go and they might get drunk for the first time, and they might, commit adultery on their spouse. But they were having these new experiences, and it was all the act of doing it was spiritual and existential and life changing. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go and arbitrarily get drunk or cheat on your spouse on the road, but
Yeah.
travel forces you into new realms of experience that are just not possible at home, no matter how open-minded and open-hearted you are at home.
So people ask me this, and they're always surprised at the answer, and I'm going to ask you too. Do you get nervous when you go traveling to a place for the first time, or when you go on a long-term travel? Like, is there still fear or nerves, or is it all done?
I would say it's all done for me.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I'm traveling with my wife internationally for the first time, and she's really good at languages. I've accepted that I'm bad. And so she is nervous about French in a way that I've never been nervous about French. Because she's nervous about French, she's actually going to become a better French speaker than me very soon. But I think the nerves are a good thing. It's almost like performance. Sometimes it's good to be a little bit nervous before a performance. It's okay to be nervous as a traveler as long as it doesn't preclude you from doing something interesting and daring and vulnerable.
Right. But like I always tell them, like, you should feel nervous. It's completely the unknown. I do it every time. Same thing with psychedelics. We're like, you're fine with mushrooms. Like, no, I get scared every time I have a thing of mushrooms in my hand. I'm frightened.
That's interesting to hear.
But like, yeah, I've done it a bunch. I know how it's going to go, but like, I got to reassure myself. Same with travel. It's like, I will find this thing to do.
I think that's good for the discipline of doing it.
Yeah.
I think nerves are a good thing. That it can't hurt to be nervous as long as the nerves don't preclude you from doing it.
Right.
It's good to be
as
nervous.
long as it's not so nerve-wracking that you're like, no way, no fucking way.
Yeah.
We sat there in Ecuador. They had one of these, like, not bungee things, but a zip line across this canyon.
Yeah. Where was this?
Ecuador, near Baños.
Yeah.
It's a Ruta de Waterfalls. Ruta de, I forget. I don't know, the waterfalls. Route of the waterfalls. And you can take a bike. It's just downhill the whole way. And then take a cab back up. And anyway, we saw this thing. We stopped. We were like pondering it for like 45 minutes. Like, I don't know. Is this even safe? It's $10. That's not enough to be safe.
Right.
And then you're like, fuck. But that's like, we're going to regret not doing it. But still, I don't want to do it. And then eventually it was like, one of us like, so let's just do it if we're going to be doing it. And I'm like, fuck. And just talking yourself into it. Mm-hmm. It's fun as shit.
Yeah.
But we could have easily been like, nah.
And usually that's the case.
Usually what? You go, nah? Or usually...
No, usually it's totally worth it. You know, that the anxiety is part of the process, but having done it is so much... It's so... I mean...
Plus the negative of not having not done it. You kick yourself.
The first time I did Vagabonding, I was 23 years old. I lived in a van. It was safer, cheaper, and easier than any of my fears would have imagined. Yeah. And now everybody does the van life thing, but that basically, it's so actually it makes it more rewarding when you are anxious. The beautiful moments are more beautiful just because you didn't go into them with confidence and the privilege of thinking that you deserved this. That you allowed yourself to have. There's a lot of gratitude among travelers. You're on the other side of the world, and maybe this happens a lot early in your travels, and you're just so thankful that you're here, you're smelling new smells, you're eating new food. It's cheaper, it's more beautiful than you thought it would be, and you're just grateful. And it's good to exercise your gratitude muscle, I think.
There is something like that. You're right. To stop and be like, oh, cool. I'm at this spot. I've seen this in books.
But now I smell it.
Right. Now I smell right. And it's like, this is cool. You can stop. Right. It's fun to be like, this is cool.
Or sometimes it's like, I never saw this in a book, but it's sort of cooler than I imagined anything in a book would be. You know?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. All right, let's go somewhere else. Then we'll talk about how you got into this book.
All right. Yeah, no, I can give you the whole story.
Okay, cool. All right, we're back. I do love that people are like, I'm messing up your thing. I'm like, this is not on TV.
Right.
It does not matter.
Well, I was just thinking that the video aspect of this lends a weird officialness to this. It's like, I almost feel like I should look into the camera like I'm presenting a documentary or something.
Yeah. So I always resisted this because I felt like it would make people feel like they're performing instead of like being natural. And it's something I do when I was just doing audio too, is I'll just talk to them for like 25 minutes about nothing. And then I'll get into like how to just survive Tower 2. Or like, you know, or like I say, like your rape when you were a kid, or like, you know, whatever. But like, I try to get them to like forget that they're holding a microphone.
Right.
And this makes it harder.
Right.
When I'm more comedians are used to it now, so that's easier. But when you're in a studio, I'll like set them up and then press record before people even get there.
Okay.
And then I'm like, hey, sit down. You want some coffee or something like that?
Right.
And it's like, no, we're on.
No, I'm tempted to talk to camera sometimes.
Nah.
You know, they just.
No, I know the feeling though. So it's like natural to sit and talk to each other like this, like you're in a car.
Yeah.
Done them in cars too. That's a good one.
Well, we've done two together in cars. We drove around Los Angeles twice, one of which involved a mushroom deal. Right?
One of which involved a mushroom deal. That's right. We talked about it already.
How are we looking?
We're good. I shouldn't tilt this, but
how's the background? Does everybody know where we're at? Luxembourg Gardens?
Oh yeah.
In the 6th arrondissement, the classic. We're on the left bank of the Seine this time.
Yeah.
These, I believe, were originally built as royal gardens. Again, I'm not Rick Steves. I'm not going to give you facts. I'm just going to sort of
smart
riff randomly. You don't know Rick Steves? He's like the PBS travel guy. He's a nice guy. I've met him, but he is very much sort of, here's going to be an hour about a place, and you're going to come home with specific ideas for how to travel to this place. Whereas I'm much more of a big concept travel guy, like a life philosophy travel guy. And it occurs to me, this is the first time I've talked with anyone like officially for a podcast about my new book, available in bookstores everywhere.
The Vagabond's Way.
The Vagabond's Way. Like, I don't have my shtick down yet. Like when you interviewed me about Vagabonding had been out for 15 years.
Yeah.
And so I sort of knew my talking points.
Oh, tell them what happened after we did the podcast.
I sold a lot of books.
That's right. Skeptic Tank bump. I've told you guys in the past, that's what happens. Skeptic Tank bump. Yeah.
It's the Skeptic Tank book, and I think I told you before that I sort of have this RA fandom, which is like, I read your book, it was great. I haven't read a book in 10 years, but I read your book and I liked it. Whereas the Tim Ferriss is like, the crowd is like, oh, I read 10 books this week, and Vagabonding was one of them. So it's like the
those people are too smart.
The straight A students of life listen to the Tim Ferriss show.
I like Tim. But his fucking audience is dorks.
the C minus of life
That's right.
are the Skeptic Tank people.
Potheads are like, no, but I read your book 4 times because I don't remember reading it each time.
But they're very sweet people. Your followers are very sweet, Ari.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty lucky with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I don't have my shtick. So like you're asking me questions about the book, and I keep forgetting to actually talk in that nice, concise way that makes people interested in my book.
I'd rather, okay, so you are going to get a shtick eventually. That's what I found in like, anytime a big thing happens in comedians, eventually they get, like Rogan had this thing with Carlos Mencia, and eventually radio interviews start asking him, and he was himself at first, and then he was less himself, and then it was just, here's the routine. I'm sure you get that with your students. Or when you do like public speaking in colleges, where you're like, this is already set.
Right. Well, actually, I recently spoke at my own college. It's one of my first post-pandemic events, and you have your shtick that works. There might be an equivalent in comedy that you know what people respond to, you know what gets people excited. And so for that book, I've been talking about it for 20 years now. Yeah. I know what get people excited about that book. But for the new book, like my shtick isn't down yet, and so
great. So now you're more natural. More natural is the way to go. Once Rogan got a shtick, you start going like, don't ask me about this. I just you can just hear another interview already.
Right. Right.
Anyway, I'd rather get you into your shtick.
This is the raw version. Not only is it on audio, but it's on video too. This is sort of the raw not really knowing how to answer his questions.
Yeah, later when he has a shtick and he's like made up details, you can be like, nah, it's not true. I saw the original story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, how did this book come about? Because you have this long history with vagabonding.
Yeah.
Not the verb, but the book.
Yeah.
Where it is. My friend says it like on your tombstone. It's in your Wikipedia is the new version of that.
It's my career book. It's funny. It's my first book. The Vagabond's Way is my fifth book, but it's just what people have responded to, and still people are responding to it 20 years on in the same way that they did before.
It's universal.
People get excited about it, and so actually this ties into our friend Tim Ferriss. That I asked him like, I'm thinking about writing Vagabond.
Cooler guy than I thought.
Right. No, good guy. But I said, like, I'm thinking about doing Vagabonding 2. What do you think? Because at the time, I was thinking, well, maybe Tim could just publish it. We could be an audio book that Tim
That's
has.
what he told me to do.
Proprietary. What's that?
That's what he told me to do.
To publish.
Self-publish.
To self-publish.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, what are they going to offer you? You have your own fan base.
Well, that's true. That you could self-publish in a way that's going to be way more remunerative. You might not get your Times review, but you're automatically going to sell the books to the people who are Skeptic Tank fans, for example.
Yeah.
And Tim said, yeah, don't water it down. Don't write Vagabonding 2 in a way that waters down your message. You've already written
what
a book.
What does that mean, water it down?
Well, it's not like, right, sort of say the same thing in a slightly different way, in such a way that people will buy the book and it's like, I kind of like the first book better.
Right.
And
Smart.
so then, and so I was a little bit disappointed by that because I thought he'd be excited, and he's like,
he loved the first book.
Because he published the audiobook. Like Random House didn't use their rights to publish an audiobook, and so he said, those rights have reverted to you. Why don't you let me publish your audiobook? And so he did.
For Vagabonding?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it makes a lot of sense. So I thought he would be all over Vagabonding too, and he gave me what turned out to be good advice, which is just like, don't say the same thing twice with a different cover. Think about this.
Many people do that, where they're just like, let me rehash this thing, like great thing I did.
Well, like almost every movie franchise has diminishing returns every time they make a sequel, right?
Dinosaur movie, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, whoa, that got loose again.
And there's books. I'm sure that there's comedy routines that are sort of guys are talking about the same thing that they were talking about 10 years ago, and it's not as funny, but it's safe, right?
It worked,
yeah.
So they keep it going. And
so I wasn't sure what to do for a while, and then I started reading the Daily Stoic. Ryan Holiday? He was just on Rogan.
Oh, really?
Maybe 2 months ago. He's a young guy. He's barely into his 30s, but his thing is Stoicism.
What's his jam? Okay.
The philosophy of Stoicism. He wrote "The Obstacle is the Way," "Stillness is the Key." He's been on my podcast, and there's just
was he quoted in Vagabonding? No.
Nobody's quoted in this book.
Okay.
And so
I've heard about Stoicism recently. What is it?
Well, it's the old Greco-Roman philosophy of that you can't control your circumstances, but you can control how you react to your circumstances. And so it's just this idea of think before you act, calm your passions. And he wrote a book called, Ryan Holiday wrote several books about Stoicism, but he wrote one. It was called The Daily Stoic. It became a bestseller because it came out the year Donald Trump was elected. People were really nervous about Trump. Stoicism says you can't control your circumstances. You can control how you react to them.
That's kind of Buddhist too, right?
It's has a lot of overlap with Buddhism. It became popular with professional athletes, like Aaron Rodgers of the Packers has been on Instagram showing his copy of The Daily Stoic, right?
Oh, interesting.
And so basically, it's every day of the year. For a leap year, 366 chapters, Ryan had a quote from a Stoic philosopher and then a meditation on the quote that sort of maybe brought in an example from sports or from Teddy Roosevelt or the Bible or something. So basically, each day of the year, you have meditation on Stoic philosophy that's sort of meant for self-help and to sort of make your life calmer and more focused. And so I ended up basically, long story short, pitching a travel version of the Daily Stoic, where every day of the year I have a quote by a philosopher, a travel writer, a poet. At one point I quote you, Ari.
I gotta find it.
Not in the epigraph.
Don't tell you.
But and then I have a meditation on that quote. So
yeah, they go. It's kind of like early Seinfeld when he would do a bit, and then the whole episode was something to do with that theme of that bit.
Yeah.
And then they stopped that after a couple of years. But like, it is exactly that.
Right. And so it's not Vagabonding too, but it's very much of the ethos of Vagabonding. But basically each day so basically January is about inspiration for travel. February is about planning for travel. March is about getting started in travel. And so basically the year cycles through the phases
This
of a
overlaps
journey.
vagabonding a lot because, sorry to interrupt you, because like vagabonding is split into 3 groups: getting ready, small chapter; traveling, the 80% of it; coming home, another small chapter.
Yeah. Vagabonding is 11 chapters, sort of bookended by leaving and coming home. This is similar. So December is mostly about keeping the journey going once you're home.
Yeah, how do you keep the vibe?
Yeah.
That's something I'm trying to do. When I got back from Ecuador, I was like, how do I keep that Ecuador vibe? That freedom?
Yeah.
That I like, how do you keep it? Introduce yourself to your neighbors, or like you got to almost be mindful about it.
Yeah. But then it's the Ecuador vibe, but it's not specific to Ecuador, because if you wanted that vibe, you would stay in Ecuador. But like the idea that waking up and not knowing what's going to happen, but being excited about it, and walking across town and saying, that's wedding music. I'm going to stop at this wedding and watch. And if somebody invites me to join, then I'm going to join this wedding. Right. It's giving yourself permission to do whatever, to again, walk until your day becomes interesting, letting yourself not be bound by your plans, but by whatever is exciting in your life, right?
Yeah.
And so that's December in this book. Like November is about sort of the long haul and the decision to come home. The middle chapters are about the meat of the journey. Like early in the journey, your vibe is going to be a little bit different than when you've been traveling for a long time.
Yeah.
And so March is getting started. It's those first impressions. It's being excited about everything. But by the time in the Vagabond's Way, by the time you're in June, July, August, you're in your more seasoned part of travel, and it's like, well, how can I experience something in a different way?
So there's something you wrote in here that I've gotten to already. I've done as of now, I've read the first whatever. I'm
first
like a
first
few
3
days
months.
into March.
You're into March. Yeah. So you've read the first, basically the pre-travel stuff you've done.
Yeah. But something in there was the more you're traveling, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My bus left an hour early, or my bus leaves 4 hours late. That's me saying it. It's like shit. Like I've dealt with this.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, there's also is it the mediocre now brain chapter?
Maybe
the idea that you can plan your travels, but now is your mediocre now brain.
Now.
It's not going to be as experience. It was his name. I think her name was Julie Roxanne Krivorican. I was on her podcast, her and her husband's podcast.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this, about how you're smarter once you leave. Like your first week of travel, you're going to be smarter. You could read an encyclopedia about France. Once you've been in Paris for a week, you're going to be so much smarter.
Here's how it works. Right.
Yeah. And so she said, well, it's your mediocre now brain. That why should I plan my trip around my mediocre now brain as it understands France or Cambodia or Australia, when I'll be so much smarter after 1 week in that country.
The comedy version of that is people make these catchphrases when they're 3 months into comedy, and then they're 10 years in, end season now, and then it's like, why are you still honoring this fucking dork open micer?
Yeah.
That decided something.
Right.
He was a loser, dude.
Right.
You would have, if he said hi to you now, you'd be like, get away, you suck. But you're doing whatever he told you. And the mediocre now brain says, that's what I remembered. It was like all these decisions comedians made before we knew what we were doing.
Right. And it seems like good advice at the time. But basically, and it's sort of to honor your future self, that you can study the heck out of your travels, but until you're out in the road making mistakes, you're going to be smarter every day of your journey than you are when you're planning your journey. And so unless you allow yourself to make mistakes, like if you plan this very detailed itinerary in Ecuador 6 months before you get there, then you're in Ecuador and you realize that it's way cooler than you thought it was, but you're stuck in your old mediocre now brain. You're not in the smarter everyday person that is on the road and that is traveling. Is this making sense?
Yeah. No, it totally is.
Yeah,
it
so,
totally is.
So that's
when you're like, oh, I'm supposed to do this thing, but you're like, no, I know, but that's not the thing you're supposed to do.
Well, it was just like now. We were walking to the Louvre and we found people swing dancing in a courtyard, and they were not tourists; they were French people swing dancing and doing it well. And we stopped and watched it because, your mediocre now brain is looking for the Mona Lisa when travel has gifted you with the dancing in the courtyard near the Louvre.
There's some guy I can never stop thinking about is we're going up to where I found the fool guy. We're getting on a bus. There was another bus that left, I guess, before the advertised time. And this dude was screaming about it. He's like, all right, checked out of my hostel. What the fuck am I supposed to do? And these people at the bus stop, like, they're in their minds, they're like, dude, the bus is not turning around.
Right.
So I don't know what you're screaming about. I have no power to help you here. And me and my friends are just kind of like smiling at him. And it's like, I don't know them to stay in fucking whatever city it was, Nang Shui, for an extra day. Just stay an extra day. You just got some. It's like I would know better.
There's a chapter in the
Your
book
flight
about
got canceled.
this.
Okay, go home.
Or stay. You know, like there's a chapter in my book that I didn't set out to honor my father-in-law, but I did because my wife has this story about when they were going through Italy. They got to the airport at, I don't know, Milan, and her dad read 1500 as 5 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock, right?
Been there, done that.
And we've probably all done that, right? So instead of
Can't they just use our American system?
Well, instead of getting an airport hotel and waiting for the next plane, he said, let's just go to the Alps. So they drove up to this place called the Aosta Valley, and they stayed in this enchanted, mist-shrouded place. And part of the fun of being there was that it was an accident, and that they hadn't gone there to find the Aosta Valley, that they had gone there because Dad screwed up and missed the plane.
Bonus.
But he was willing to say, no, let's don't stay by this. Let's use this mistake as an opportunity to do something amazing. And so they, not knowing where they were going, they drove in the Alps. They stayed in this little valley, and it was enchanted. It's one of my wife's favorite travel experiences because her dad messed up, but was willing to turn it into something better.
Yeah, there's that too, right? The ability to turn something into a positive.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
yeah, so you miss your bus. Well, stay in the village, make a friend. You know,
yeah, right.
Get in a soccer game. Try it. Eat that guinea pig that you didn't think you were going to eat before. Try it now.
I knew I was going to eat it.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so
you're rolling a cigarette with a mic. You want me to hold your microphone so you can roll your cigarette?
It's okay.
Okay.
I rested here. I'm the worst at this in the world.
I can go on a monologue. I don't know if you...
No, I'm listening. I'll break in. I'll just keep fucking these up. I've already lost 2 papers. So pandemic comes. Have you been thinking about this type of thing for a while?
Well, this is the deal. It's the Commonplace book. I think, have you and I talked about the Commonplace book before?
What's a Commonplace
book?
book?
This is another Ryan Holiday thing that basically during Renaissance times, the aristocracy would keep a commonplace book that you didn't have access to 1,000 books. So if you read a book that moved you, you would write your favorite quotes into your commonplace book. Basically, it's a notebook where you stored your knowledge, right? So you would take a book from the library in the center of town, you would read it, you would copy all the best quotes of Dante into your commonplace book, and you would have them for the rest of your life.
Early Napster. You would just take it.
Maybe, well, no, but you wouldn't. You would transcribe it, and so you were, as you were transcribing it, that forced you to think about it in a creative way. And then you had these quotes, and then suddenly your favorite Dante, is in a commonplace book that you had in your own house. Thomas Jefferson had one. Leonardo da Vinci had one. All of the great men of the Renaissance had commonplace books. Well, without knowing, and Ryan Holiday, because he writes about the Stoics, writes about commonplace books, and he keeps them on paper. I, as a young nerd with my Apple IIe computer, or my Commodore 60, well, not my my Mac Classic computer, I would keep it on my hard drive, right?
Right.
So I've been saving quotes since the mid-1990s about everything that interests me.
No wonder, because you have so many quotes.
Yeah. And so Vagabonding has a lot of quotes, and that came out of my commonplace book.
I love that aspect of it, because that came out of that. So you would just go to your old books?
I didn't know it was called a commonplace book. I didn't know that Thomas Jefferson and Da Vinci kept a commonplace book. I was just saving these quotes because I didn't feel like I was smart enough to quote them at memory. So I would hold on to these quotes from Walt Whitman, from Annie Dillard and other people who are in that book. And so I wrote Vagabonding maybe 7 years into my commonplace book. I wrote this 25 years into my commonplace book.
It's a lot bigger.
And so it's a lot deeper than Vagabonding, right? So I think, not to discourage people from buying my, your 20-year-old who just wants to get excited about travel is going to read Vagabonding in 2 hours and hit the road. Actually, a 20-year-old could also read this book, but it's harder to read because it's a page a day. There's a lot to think about on each page.
Can you understand this stuff before you've been on some sort of long-term travel?
Well, as with Vagabonding, hopefully you read it once and get excited, then you read it again when you get home, and it's like, oh, of course. There's 2 ways of understanding it. There's reading it to get inspired, and there's reading it to understand, right? Mm-hmm. So there are. This book is pretty dense. It's denser than Vagabonding. It's harder to read quickly, but it's more likely to be a book where you read a page or 2 a day and then think about it for the rest of the day, and then it builds up over the course of a longer time, right? This is our first walkthrough person.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No worries. Pas de problème.
What would you tell yourself at 26 that you can tell yourself now? If you went back in time?
that it keeps getting better. That there's
about
nothing,
travel.
There's nothing to rush. That about travel is that you don't need to burn your candle now. That you can have an amazing experience and it doesn't have to scratch it off your list. That you can go to Paris.
You can have an amazing experience. And
you can go to Mongolia and it doesn't have to just be, oh, now I don't have to do that anymore. You can come back to a place that basically you can. I'm not saying that you always have to go back to the same places, but that as you get older, travel gets better because you become a more complex, grounded, and let's face it, self-confident person. When I was 26, I'd like to think that I was smart and hopeful, but I just had less life experience. I had less self-confidence, that all these years later, I'm better equipped to be a traveler. And I miss being a traveler in that everything was new.
Everything was new. When you're like that young, it's like, what the fuck is this? What's Korean barbecue? Like,
and it's straight to your heart. Everything moves your heart.
Your first country is just like,
my wife,
what foreignness is.
My wife's the same way. That she went to drama school in London, and she had things that happened to her in London in her early 20s that will never happen again because it happened to the young her. Yeah. And there's things that happened to me in Thailand, in Korea, in India that I can't compete with those because I'm an older version of myself.
He goes, I've been in the Nick Adams stories. He was like, I've been, which is just him, I guess. I've been around the world. I've had beautiful women, wives, and girlfriends, but he's like, nobody compares to that young papusa, his word, of when I was, when we were both 16 in the woods. It was just like, it's like wild.
Well, there's a first love aspect to this, that you can retrospectively be annoyed by your first love, but your first love affects you in a way that stays with you, right? Even though you would never make that choice now. Well, your early travels, especially the ones that when you're traveling for yourself with your own money, on your own initiative, that it goes straight to the heart. And it feels like Indonesia, Myanmar, there's places you've been, Thailand maybe, that are special to you because those were your first true vagabonding experiences.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, do I love Myanmar because my first spot or because it was so foreign, so like wildly undiscovered?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Well, that really shifts you out of your comfort zone too, that I think, and of course, as we all have our travel first loves, Asia will always be my travel first love because I was young when I was there, and maybe Europe would be it if this is where I came, but because I was so obviously not from there, because I was so confused every day, it really forced me to make sense of things. And I don't know, it was fun. I was like, when I was living in Korea, I was stressed out a lot. That's a workaholic place because I was working as an English teacher there. Oh, did you finish one?
I think so, buddy. I think so.
So this is your new affectation is rolling your own.
I did it just for friends.
25 minutes to roll your own.
This is the longest one it's ever taken. I've never had I used to have a table.
You are holding a mic and trying to
Thank you.
think of
I appreciate
questions. So. It's funny, at the Louvre, we had
see how it smokes.
Maybe 1,000 people were walking through the camera, and like a few dozen of them decided not to walk through the camera. We've only had one person walk through the camera here.
She noticed too.
Yeah. And then she felt bad.
Oh, that's good. I didn't see her face.
Yeah, no, she apologized, but it's like, it's fine.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So how long did it take? In a second.
Yeah.
How long did it take to write this?
8 months.
8 months.
So this, I don't know if I've said this in this podcast yet. I also met my wife during the pandemic.
Interesting.
And so 2 months in the pandemic, I had a blind date with a woman where we had to stand 10 feet apart. We still didn't know how it was. So it was
the fucking weirdest things. Part of it that's going to be part of our history.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be tough to remember. Like, why? Like in the metro, we're like, why are these seats so far apart? I'm like, oh, they took out every other seat. Yeah. And they haven't put them back in yet.
Yeah. I haven't been on the metro yet, so I haven't seen that.
But areas up, you can't push anybody. It doesn't make me feel like I'm home.
Right. No, I haven't, and I'm not super fond of the metro because it's such a good walking city. Paris is such a good walking city. But I'll remember this the rest of my life, that I was a grizzled bachelor going into the pandemic, and then 2 months in, I swiped right on Bumble, which I don't usually do in Kansas, and then I met my soulmate, basically, and then I was instantly...
What, Kansas is more of a J-date place?
I have a story about J-date in Kansas because I was just curious about what Jewish people are looking for love in Kansas.
Yeah.
So I went on JDate. I said, I'm not Jewish. I'm not looking for Jewish. I don't want to convert. I just wanted to see who was out there. And it's all like really stressed out university professors at Kansas State University or something. They're just not a big indigenous Jewish. Outside of Kansas City and Wichita, there's not much of a Jewish population there. And so my wife, who had been living in Berlin for a long time, went home to be with her parents during the pandemic. And so at the time I lived next door to my parents. And so our first date, our first date, my parents were there. Our second date, her parents were there. We couldn't touch because of the pandemic. And so it was very Victorian. What's that?
It was a death sentence if you got it.
Well, at the time, I didn't want to kill my parents. I didn't want to bring some random bumble match onto my property, introduce them to my parents, and have my parents catch COVID and die.
And how the reason you're going to die. It's just like, it's so much different.
In retrospect, it seems silly. Like, I was washing doorknobs. On our first 2 dates, we were washing doorknobs so we wouldn't kill our parents. We were washing groceries.
I had to wash my dog down. If someone else pet my dog, I had to go take her straight to the shower and shower myself.
In retrospect, it's an absurd thing, but that is the circumstances.
It was that then.
Under
in our minds, it was that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and so basically, I fell in love, and so then my at the time fiance said, "You fired your agent 10 years ago, and you haven't gotten a new one. Like your last 2 books have been unagented." And it's like, yeah. And she's like, "Find a new agent."
Rolf, you have the lack of drive of a stand-up comedian. You really do have that lazy spirit of a comic. It took me like 19 years to build a website.
No, well, thankfully I had a friend years ago who helped me build a website.
My cigarette. Yeah, I did roll it myself.
Right. Nice job. No, but actually I'm also a little bit like, I like to change the subject. I like to wander around and get lost. So my third book is about the Ghetto Boys. You know this, right? I wrote a 33 1/3 book about the Ghetto Boys.
What's 33 1/3?
Oh, it's a series of books by Bloomsbury Academic about famous music albums, right?
What's 33 1/3 besides 1/3?
Well, it's the revolutions per minute of a long playing record. 33 1/3 revolutions per minute. And so they named this series of music books, but like, I made no money from that book. And actually, I wrote a book about the Ghetto Boys. I didn't write a book about like some super popular band from the 90s. It was this obscure Houston
Bushwick Boys.
Bushwick Bill.
Bill. And
this
who else?
Obscure Willie D, Scarface, who's probably the most famous, and then DJ Ready Red. 2 of those guys are now deceased. Anyway, so I wrote, like, my third book is about a gangster rap album that nobody listened to and was really offensive, but I thought it was interesting because on my first vagabonding trip, I went to Houston not to see the Johnson Space Center, but because I wanted to see Fifth Ward that the Ghetto Boys sang about, right?
Okay.
So this is in the no agent side of my career. Nobody's read that book because I'm proud of it, but it's about a weird topic. It's about it's the psychogeographical approach to Houston. Basically, this ties into what we were talking about.
But that's what
before.
you're into. So travel writing and the travel industry, you talk a lot about this, where it has changed the idea of travel. It tells you can't go to Houston for that. You have to go for barbecue.
Yeah.
But it's like, be true to yourself. Like, this is what I'm interested in. So why do these other things?
That's why I have a book about a gangster rap group, because when I went to Houston, I was mostly interested in seeing these neighborhoods that they rapped about. And so I went. So I went to those neighborhoods. And it was interesting. And it was interesting going back to those neighborhoods 20 years later and writing and researching the book. Because why shouldn't you go to a part of the town that's called dangerous? I mean, you wouldn't go there in the middle of the night, but you go there.
Is it still bad, or is it
gentrified? Well, no, it's gentrified a little bit, but it's a poor part of town, and poor people have to eat, so you go to a restaurant there. And this is a crazy thing. I don't think it made it into the book. I met dudes on horseback. We were sort of just like black dudes in the neighborhood riding on horseback. They have horse clubs in Houston, in the poorer parts of Houston.
Black rodeo people are some of the most interesting.
Yeah. And that's part of the culture. So basically, I was able to see a side of Houston because of the Ghetto Boys that nobody ever seeks out unless they're poor people living there, right? And so my point is not to be a voyeur going into the poor part of Houston, but it's like I really wanted to see what it was like in that part of Houston. And
okay, but if you're into art and you come to Paris, it's obviously set up for that mostly, right?
Yeah.
If you're into, I'm trying to think, New York has this. Berlin has it. Berlin has it a lot. There's something, whatever you're into, there's a scene.
Yeah.
So there's a ping pong scene in New York.
Yeah.
And so if you're way into ping pong or jazz,
There's ping pong tables about 300 yards that way. Outdoor ones. If you bring your paddles, you can play.
wow.
In Luxembourg, well, near Luxembourg Gardens.
So you did travel in Houston to honor what you're into.
I did at the time. Like, I was living in a van. I was 23 years old. It's like, I don't want to go to Johnson Space Center. NASA interests me, but the Ghetto Boys scared me. Like, I would listen to this album, and I really wanted to see what it was like. They were singing about this neighborhood as if it was the land of Mordor or something. It was so over the top, right? Anyway, this is all an illustration of why I'm not a very good professional writer, is that I wrote a book that I made no money on, that's about an obscure Houston gangster rap group that I was interested in when I was 23. But my wife said, why don't you get an agent? Why don't you write a book that is as successful as Vagabonding instead of just writing these weird random books?
Yeah.
Like a book, my Souvenir had the same publisher as the Ghetto Boys book.
Well, here's the problem with any artist, writers are, it's that you get influenced to do what's, one would get influenced to do what is financially better for you.
Yeah.
But that's not what you would do artistically. If it was like, there's no money in this, you would do what you're interested in.
Right.
So way to follow your fucking art, man.
Yeah, in a weird way.
But then also,
I always tell my wife it would have made sense if I would have met her 10 years earlier. Like, I could have gotten married when I was 40 instead of 50. She says it would have been a bad time to meet. But so, yeah, I wrote some weird books. I wrote a comic book. But then I read the Daily Stoic. I realized I got a good agent. And then I realized I've been sitting on these travel quotes. I've been thinking about travel for 25 years. I've written one successful travel book. What if instead of going broad, I go deep, and each day has its own each day of the year has its Daily Stoic style lesson about travel. And so I pitched this book. It sold very quickly. One advantage of selling a book that sells 300,000 copies is that your agent can just go to your publisher and say, by the way, do you want another book by this guy who's sold 300,000 copies, right?
It's way easier to take a chance on that
than
to take a chance on some guy.
So it was easy for me to sell this book because Random House is like, oh yeah, you're right. This has sold a lot of copies. Yeah, we'll give him another book. So then basically I had all these quotes and ideas in my commonplace book, and I spent 8 months. Well, actually, I got married. I said, can you let me have a honeymoon? They said, sure. Kiki and I went to Colorado for a honeymoon, and then I came back and started writing. And when she went to Brooklyn to pick up her things, she had an apartment as an actress in Brooklyn.
That's where I met her.
Yeah, where you met her. I was writing chapters of the book in the pickup while we were driving from Kansas to Brooklyn.
Wow.
So this book, part of it was written in Colorado, part of it was written in Kansas, part of it was written in Brooklyn, on I-70 in Ohio.
Do they give you when you're writing a book, do they give you a deadline and say, we want this many chapters by this? So it's like you have to follow their schedule?
Yeah, but it's funny. Writers are so flaky that they sort of give you sort of fake deadlines. It's like, we want this book by October. Well, I wasn't finished with the book by October. It's like, I can maybe get it by November. It's like, yeah, fine.
Right.
And then in November, I wasn't done. This is November 2021. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So I handed in the manuscript on December 21st, and they're like, cool. And then basically the book is coming out in October 2022. They sort of tricked me. They basically gave me a 1 year ahead of publication deadline, knowing that most writers are going to turn them in way late. So I was 2 months late on my deadline, but I was still like 4 months sooner than most writers would do it, because artistic temperaments are not very good with organization. And so my wife will tell you, like, I was writing 7 days a week those last 2 months, but I got it done. I'm happy with the book. And this is my first hardcover book. Like, this is an advanced reader's copy. This is my first book be.
I got the hook.
Ari has the special advanced reader's edition.
You will not be getting the copy with this black lettering on top saying advanced uncorrected proofs, not for sale.
Not for sale.
We'll see about that.
October 4th. Right. Sell that on eBay when I get hit by a bus. But yeah, this will be a hardcover book. So this is my first grown-up book. Like, I was a kid. I was barely out of my 20s when Vagabonding came out. I was just happy to have a book. Now, yeah, like, they hired an artist to make the cover. The cover.
What is this place?
It's a fictional place. They basically wanted to create desire. It's like an old 1930s travel poster, but instead of putting a person, it's just like they wanted to create a landscape into which you can dream yourself.
This reminds me of two spots in the world.
Really?
Yeah. Edinburgh There's a Arthur Seat, Holyrood Park. Arthur Seat is at the top of Holyrood Park. If you go over the backside, there's this old kind of ruins of an outlook post, and you can go see.
Oh, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Where you would do that down there, and then also maybe Camelback Mountain or somewhere in near Phoenix.
Okay.
There's like one of these like stone structures, and you can just sit out there and smoke a J and just like be still enough where the squirrels or chipmunks will come right up to you.
Okay.
Because like you haven't moved in too long.
Right.
Yeah, both those places more Edinburgh because of the green.
Well, that means it's working because we made it intentionally non-specific because you could put a picture of the Eiffel Tower on it, but it's like, well, it's a book about basically. We designed the cover, and they actually hired a British artist to make this cover. Unlike Vagabonding, which is like a picture of me on a $5 camera that somebody had taken, one of my friends had taken when I was walking through the desert. And so we decided to create a cover that would make people dream themselves into this landscape, so that ideally when someone's reading this book, they might be reading about a Japanese traveler from 800 years ago, or Thomas Swick, who wrote a book 10 years ago, but they're thinking about their own travels. And that's why Vagabonding was successful, I think, because people read Vagabonding, and I talk about my own experiences, but they dream their own experiences. Same with this book, that hopefully when people read this book, they'll think, yeah, this could be me. Yeah, this may have been a traveler who lived 500 years ago, and he was feeling nervous about going to Jerusalem out of the city of and I feel nervous about this, but travelers have always felt that way. It's relatable, It's about the human experience of what it's like to leave home.
There's a theory I made for stand-up where instead of going like, hey, men do this, just go, I do this. And then the men can relate.
Yeah.
But you're not alienating the women, because some women also relate to your, like, whatever the thing is you do. It's like, 80% men, but 20% of men are like, I've never done that.
Well, there's a lot of women quoted in this. I intentionally got a lot of, and global writers. There's African writers. There's Chinese and Indian and Japanese writers. So basically, what I tried to evoke, without going straight out and saying, is that the human experience of travel isn't that different from continent to continent and century to century.
Century to century, yeah.
It's easier to travel now, but what's special about travel hasn't changed since the 15th century or the first century.
So there's one in, I think, Vagabonding 1, let's call it that.
Right.
That is about addiction to internet and when you're on the road. And I think I've told you this, like one time my Danish friend spent all night up on Facebook. It was just one night she did it, and wasn't able, too tired to go out on our trek with us the next day, wherever we went. It was in Myanmar. And it's like, hey, and she's like, and for what? To check in on shit, like dumb shit from back home. Right. It wasn't like I was doing business or anything like that. It was just an addiction. You wrote about some guy, super rich guy, who got a train, I think, across America, and he brought his stenographer so we get all the news.
Yeah, that's in this book. In this book.
It is.
Yeah,
it's in the other one too. I think
it's J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan. Yeah.
And he this was more than 100 years ago. So he got like a teletype machine. He could do cablegrams from his train car in Egypt. He went to Egypt, and his companions were like, what the hell is wrong with JP? He's just in his train car sending telegrams
on the internet all day.
He was keeping up with his stocks. He was like worried about his stock prices, and it's like, this is the pyramids. This is the ancient genius of humanity, and you are inside your car because it's convenient sending cablegrams, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I have my phone in my pocket right now. And actually I don't have my data plan.
So
here.
smart. Because
it only works with Wi-Fi.
I put mine on. I was like, let me make sure I have whatever I called, whatever. And I was like, what a mistake.
Yeah.
Because now I can go on and check instead of like, I'm in a cafe. Let me see if I can get on the Wi-Fi and return something real quick. But in between, I can't. And then I'll just have to figure it out. I fucked up. The only time it was good is when I was down to like 1% battery 2 days ago. And I'm like, shut up. I just got to find a metro station and figure it out.
Yeah. But that's also, your head is down so much when you have your phone. When your head is up, suddenly it's like, are they rock and roll dancing in that square? Is this guy painting a picture? What is that? That suddenly you're so used to seeing the world through this screen that you're not seeing the world that's right in front of your eyes, right?
I do a thing where I'll just check a YouTube upload. I'm like, let me see if it's doing like with views and stuff, just to see what the numbers are like. And I was gonna see what last week's podcast was, and it was in my flat. And I went to look, and I stopped myself. There's only a few moments where I win, I'm like, what am I doing? This doesn't matter. It's going as it's going. And I just slammed it and just went out and went to a cafe.
Yeah.
But like, what do you like?
Well, you're looking at the stats
You're
of your life. I
wasting
look
your
at my
time.
podcast stats too, but
at home in fucking an hour outside of Wichita, fine. What else is going on? The grass is going
Right.
to grow regardless if we watch it or not.
no, but like, no. One great thing about having my first date with my wife on my own deck is that we can go out to that deck and there's a beautiful view and we can just sort of breathe in the moment. And actually, the reason we read the Daily Stoic together is we wanted to start each day like reading to each other. So we would read like Mary Oliver poems or Thich Nhat Hanh meditations or Stoic meditations, and it forced us to be in a place. And it occurred to me just now, it's been a while since I've sat this long in Luxembourg Gardens.
Yeah.
And I've seen all these, it's a touristy place, but it's
gorgeous though.
I mean, we're looking the other direction, but it's beautiful away from the camera as well.
There's just roses,
and
bushy
so
trees.
by the nature of having a conversation with you, and this is sort of a performed conversation, but I'm able to be still in Luxembourg Gardens for the first time in a long time. And my wife and I figured out a way to be still on our own porch by reading poems or meditations to each other. And it forces us, well, actually you used to do this with cigars, that it forces you to be still and endure a moment.
You got an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so probably 6 days a week, we still try to do that, to read to each other. And it forces us to be in a moment and experience in it. And similarly, Traveler is the same way. And so that's in boring Kansas. That's in my beloved home state that doesn't have this excitement going on. So why on earth would you wake up and look at your phone and have the rest of your day dictated by that, right? It's easier said than done to put your phone down, but you have this, why do you need...
I went on Loveline once and Dr. Drew told me something about, he called marijuana addiction. I've already heard him say this. And I was like, hey, I got to stop you. Like, because I've heard talk about that. And he goes, oh, okay. He goes, sure. He goes, you're friends with Joe Rogan, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, so listen, Rogan and you, Ari, I'm sure you can like smoke weed and write a new bit or go out and do your chores. Because there's a lot of people who can't smoke weed and then stay in their apartment all day, don't do anything, play video games, and like their day passed them by when they wanted to do something.
Right.
He goes, that's the addiction, when it's getting in the way of your life. And this cell phone addiction, that's what it is. It's like, I know that I'm only in Paris for 2 weeks, 13 days. And at every moment I'm on this dumb thing,
Right.
Unless it's straight for work where I can justify it, it's an addiction taking you out of it. It's not helping you, it's hurting you.
And it's an addiction which previous generations of travelers were not tempted by. J.P.
Right.
Morgan was the patient zero of this. He was rich enough to put a telegraph in his train car in Egypt, and it ruined his trip.
Yeah.
People were with him like, this dumbass didn't see any of Egypt because he was worried about the same shit as at home. Actually, this came up recently. I have sort of a weed-specific thing in vagabonding where it's like, weed is like TV. You can do it, but you don't need to do it. You don't need to enhance every experience. I've recently felt a little bit bad about this. It felt like that was sort of a pushback against the baby boomer travelers who came before me when I wrote the book. And they're like, dude, well, I wanted to push back against that and say, you don't need, you're in Thailand, you're in New Zealand. You don't need to smoke weed to enhance this moment. So I have that. It doesn't say don't smoke weed, but it says you don't have to smoke weed. You're not in Dayton, Ohio. And so I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay. Like I started writing an essay. You told me some good advice of like, I gave you a chapter and you're like, oh, half of these are like essays.
Yeah.
Like take this out. And he goes, but you're like, you're like, don't lose it.
Yeah.
It's a good essay.
Yeah.
Embellish that, and then you have an essay separate from your story.
Right.
And so I was writing up this essay of worst travelers and Chinese, number one. And then I was writing, I was like, that's not to say they're all, I have met 2 different Chinese and one was in Pai, these 2 Chinese guys away from their group. You'll rarely find them. Got me high. And we talked about what parental expectations in China and felt like
that's
that.
interesting.
So it's like, if I'm seeking out weed, it takes me out of the thing. If it's like comes up, sure, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
If you're in Amsterdam, like absolutely go into a coffee shop.
That's a good point. No, it's almost like, it's like a cell phone in that you have dumb habits at home with your cell phone. You're watching the same dumb Instagram accounts. Why should you look up Instagram in Paris? If you smoke weed because you hate your job and you're bored in Ohio or Texas, why would you do it because you're not bored here?
Right.
And so maybe if it catches you by surprise, if there's this cool Chinese vagabonder who comes and says, let's smoke a joint and talk about life, then that is a better opportunity than using it as the crutch, right? And I'm not saying that it's not. This is not exclusive to weed and smartphones. It is any habit that you bring with yourself that is getting in the way of the raw vulnerability of travel.
Right.
That you're throwing a joint or a cell phone screen between these new experiences that you could be having, right?
Yeah, you'll see like some chuds like we're like, hey, we're all gonna go smoke weed. I'm like, I'm in the middle of a conversation. And I've done it where I'm like, oh, let me make sure I smoke.
Right.
But it's like, no, you fucked up. But other times, like, I'm bored. Like, you want to smoke weed? I'm like, sure.
And it goes back.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started smoking weed?
Late college, and then like only a couple times, and then like once I became a comic.
I had a lot of friends in junior high who smoked weed, which is when I sort of decided that I wasn't going to do it because I didn't want to be like those guys. But then I think a lot of people start smoking weed so young that it's like their TV or it's like their smartphone, that they very unimaginatively do it. They do it because they're bored.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to hear you say the Dr. Drew thing, because a part of me feels bad, now that weed is legal, but I think it still can be a traveler's crutch in the same way that a smartphone is a traveler's crutch, or the desire to have an ice cream cone or a pizza when you're in a country that doesn't really make ice cream or pizza,
I had to stop. I was getting ready for my special. I just stopped smoking weed for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Because I was coming home in Jacksonville, back to my apartment and or my Airbnb I was staying in, and I was gonna
Jacksonville,
smoke.
Florida is where you filmed it.
No.
Okay.
I was just getting ready, and it was one of the weeks I had on the road. No. Underrated town, though. The beach there is nice. But I was like, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to smoke weed. I'm going to watch Family Guy. And I have to go over my notes. I have to go over this and like say what's like extra and what's not. And I won't do it if I get high. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to get high tonight. And then I was like, what am I doing? This is too important. I got to not smoke weed till I'm done with this special.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
When does your special come out?
Before this comes out, I think, or right around when it comes out.
Okay.
Ari Shaffir Jew, guys, watch it now. It's
Ari
available on
Shaffir Jew.
smartphones, computers, and television sets.
Yeah. On platforms everywhere.
On platforms, yeah.
And then I'm going to try and talk you into doing an event with me and KGB in New York on November 14th. I'm going to do it with or without you. I'm going to do it. But
if I'm there, I'll do it.
Join me. Yeah, you
absolutely. So you wrote this book.
Maybe by that time you will finish the book.
I will.
Right? You will have found the quote where
I love it, dude.
You.
It's really interesting, and it's also really good right before bed reading.
Yeah. Well, it's really dense. Again, Vagabonding you can blow through in an afternoon. You would be cheating yourself by blowing through this in an afternoon, but it is written in stoner-sized chunks.
Yeah. You ever do this thing where you're like reading a book and you get to a chapter and you leap ahead to see how many pages it is? You're like, oh, I don't have 29 pages in me right now.
Right.
This is one page.
Yeah. No, I do that with Kindle sometimes. It's like, I have 15 minutes left in this, or 15, is it minutes or pages? Anyway,
pages, yeah.
It's just like, nah, where this is, there's one page, one day to think, oop, are they closing down? They're closing down the park. Well, I guess there goes our Luxembourg. Well, what time is it? It must be, the clock is ringing, the police are going to kick us out of the, yeah.
I mean, do they know we're filming in a United States podcast?
No,
all right.
It's the podcast police. No, it's 9 o'clock and they're telling us to leave.
It's 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
God, it stays light out here.
Yeah.
Light. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about, we can go to a cafe, about the coming home and how little everyone cares, because I've started a podcast called You Be Trippin that you will do.
Oh, is that the name of the podcast?
You Be Trippin, yeah.
I'm standing up out of the frame of the camera. I want the cops to know that we do mean to leave.
You got to like make efforts and like.
Right.
No one gives a fuck about your travels. You wrote about it in Vagabonding. I'm assuming you're going to write about it here.
Oh, when you come home and nobody gives a shit.
Home, yeah. I care still, and I want to hear people's travel stories.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
That's because you're a traveler.
Maybe. No one gives a shit, and I give a shit, and you can talk to me. I'm not going to change the subject, talk about work shit.
Yeah. People who haven't done it don't get it, and so that's why they're bad to bring it up with. But, yeah, I mean, I think the question, like, for our travel conversation, this podcast is when it's already 9 o'clock, when do we end? Because what can you not talk about? Like, we've barely talked about 3 countries right now.
So, where do we leave off? We were so rudely chased away by those
It was the
fraud
9 o'clock.
police.
We walked, like, probably 5 miles since we got kicked out of the park.
We walked so much looking for a cafe that was not packed.
And we failed.
We failed.
And now we're on a famous pedestrian bridge that crosses from the left bank to the right bank
Of the Seine River.
Of the Seine River.
Why is it called left bank and right bank when that is north and that is south?
I don't know. So that's north. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like upstream downstream thing.
Maybe.
Like
Maybe it curves up over there.
Left bank. I don't know. I feel like I'm failing my...
Like the 101 north goes directly west for a while.
Right.
But then eventually cuts back north. Maybe it's that.
I think maybe it flows out this way into the Atlantic eventually. And so the left bank would be, when you're going downstream, the left bank would be the left while downstream. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm babbling about things about which I do not know, but it's fun to speculate on your podcast.
So let's get to the end of it.
Right.
You got to get the new book, Vagabond's Way. To me, it read a lot like Vagabonding, in the way that it filled me with this sort of like, oh, shit, I got to get back out there.
It's philosophically the same as Vagabonding. It goes deeper in different ways. You know, it takes 365 little themes and meditations about travel, and it goes deep with them.
What are the sections? They're split up into 2-month sections. January, February is preparing.
Yeah, inspiration and planning.
Getting started on the road.
Then part of the long haul. Actually, it's funny. I've sort of said that I didn't. Tim Ferriss told me not to write Vagabonding too, and I thought, okay, that makes sense. Then I wrote this, but it has a lot of parallels to Vagabonding. It's structurally, it sort of also deals with different phases of the journey. It's also very much about time wealth and spending your time well and finding experiences that go beyond expectations. But yeah, time wealth is huge. The idea that time is really all you own, that you're given so much time on Earth and you should find ways to make it rich.
Yeah, there was a section or a day about Chappelle and how he walked away from $50 million.
Yeah.
And I remember this, and it hit me that the same thing was happening. To me, I had a small section of it where I'm like, no, you're not going to tell me how to do I'll just like stop my show. But everyone said you have mental disorders because how else could you walk away from $50 million?
Right.
And it's just like the quote was not from him, but from someone else. Like, if your ladder of success, if you've reached the top of your ladder of success and you don't feel fulfilled, maybe your ladder is on the wrong building.
You hung it against the wrong wall. That's actually Thomas Merton. He's the same guy who said, people ask me if I've seen the real Asia. Actually, it's all real to me, right? Well, he was a Trappist monk, and he also wrote this. It was a famous quote that if you get to the top of your ladder of success and you're not happy, it's probably leaning against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
That's a paraphrase. And so what happened with Dave Chappelle, I remember when this happened, and you probably know him professionally, but he had this huge, like this unprecedented offer for Comedy Central, and then he left. He didn't fulfill it. He went to South Africa, and people said, oh, he's on drugs, he's suicidal, whatever. And then years later, it's like, no, I was just trying to, like, I didn't feel happy. I was super successful, but in a way that meant nothing to me. And I just wanted a place to be away from this milieu of success and think about things. And I feel like he centered himself in a way. I don't know Dave Chappelle at all.
He's way more successful, not financially.
He moved back to Ohio. I moved back to Kansas. He moved back to a place where he was comfortable, that had a connection to his youth, and he raised his family, you know. I went back to Kansas after traveling the world. I've written more books, but I found a place that is more in accord with my time wealth, which is different from being a successful author. It's one thing to be a successful author. It's another thing to be a happy author, right? And so I found ways, here's the party boat. Is oh my God. Yeah, so it's like a party booth.
They always scream underneath each bridge.
Yeah. Well, because it echoes back on them.
That's why.
Yeah.
I was like, did they tell them to scream?
It's like honking in a tunnel, right? You ever been with one of those people who honks when they drive through tunnels?
Yeah, it's very annoying.
It's very annoying, probably especially in the New York adjacent tunnels.
There's the Eiffel Tower. Tip top of it.
Yeah, and it's going to glitter. It glitters on the hour. Do you know what? I'll check my time. Yeah. After dark, every hour it starts to glitter. Oh, what? It's 10:07, so it just stopped glittering.
I missed it. Fuck. Empire State Building does that.
To finish that, Dave Chappelle had the trappings of material success, but wasn't happy, and I believe that he found a way to be happier and do his own thing. And I think it's that same thing: is where is your ladder of success? Which wall is your ladder of success leaned against? Because if it's not leaned against a wall where you feel good about yourself when you're at the top of the ladder, maybe you should find another wall to lean the ladder against.
Duncan Trussell told me this, a Buddhist and comedian. When I was fighting with Comedy Central a little bit, and they were trying to rush me into new seasons of a show, and I was like, I want to do things. I want to see, like, and Duncan was like, so you want to go see the world? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, and they want you to not see the world. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, I mean, do we have to keep talking? I was like, you're right.
That's a very wise, well done, Duncan. That's a very wise observation. Because, and I think the entertainment industry doesn't realize, well, there's people who play the game and people who don't. And actually, I think you found ways to be successful in a way that, and be true to yourself, right? That this podcast being one of them, having sort of connecting with your fans in a very specific way meant that you didn't have to be beholden to whatever Comedy Central wants you to do.
There's also, like, I had this yesterday. I have a clarity. I don't know if you get this when you're traveling. Just maybe it's because you're away from all the noise of home, the drama, the politics, the news. But, like, I'll just have moments of clarity when I'm gone. And one of them 2 days ago was like, I'm trying to plan this, like, I want to tour Europe, but it's been a while, but also I'm so far behind in touring America and all the spots I want to do there. And there's more money to be made in America. And then it hit me like, I'm going to Europe in April. Right. I'll still make more money than I made when I was 5 years into comedy. Like, what am I even talking about? I'm going to go see Europe again. I'm going to Finland for the first time. Like, why would I not?
That's a good thing to keep in perspective. I think that there's we both sort of have artistic pursuits that are rewarded by certain types of public exposure and financial reward. I think a lot of vagabonding people are working jobs that they're sort of ambivalent about. It's not their dream job, but then it's like, where are you going to split? What's going to make you happy? Is it the beige house in the suburbs?
Yeah.
Is it having your kids in the baseball league that costs $2,000 a season? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And so I think,
you're going to remodel your bathroom again? You're filling a hole, dude.
Well, no, that's it. And so I think that there's sort of a person who's not necessarily following their artistic ambition, but is playing the game of success. We have to think about where your ladder is leaning on that, too. Is like, yeah, sure, you could get a 3,500 square foot house in the suburbs, or you could just live simply, or you could move to Southeast Asia for half the year, or you could move to Paris. And some of my former students do this. They just move. Well, they have friends who say, well, we travel for 2 months a year. We're based in Paris, but we travel for 2 months a year. Come house sit for us, and you can stay there for free. And so there's just anywhere in the world, there's ways to finagle a more location independent life. I mean, if you have kids, it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah,
it is more complicated with kids for sure. There's ways to do it though. I've seen people travel with families.
Oh yeah, and I've seen people travel well with families and travel happily with families in ways that are cheaper than sending your kid to boarding school. Right?
So I guess, all right, yeah, exactly. Damn, there's more I want to do with you, but like, we gotta wrap it up.
Are we running low on battery?
No, it's just going long, but like this. All right, let's try to keep going.
Well, you could edit it. I don't know.
It's not that. I can split it into 2 podcasts.
Right.
Maybe I'll do that. People listen to it. I feel like 5% of people are listening now versus who started with it.
Right. Well,
there's shit. I want you to describe this. There's a feeling of freedom that I've not been able to describe to people that comes with, that I found later, a complete lack of responsibility that you get when you're traveling, where I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to see anything. I'm free to go and do whatever I want. So like, it's this feeling. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. And it dovetails with like the vulnerability and the willingness to not plan that we're talking about. Because it's one thing to wake up in a city like Paris and have 10 things on your to-do list. It's another thing to wake up, go down, drink a coffee, and just sort of let the day happen.
Yeah.
And realize that I can do whatever the hell I want. Like, nobody here knows me. I could talk to this pretty girl, or I could go to this rock concert. And I think you feel it strongly when you're in your early days as a traveler, like in your youngest days as a traveler. But I often find myself trying to recreate that, where it's just like, I want to have that day that is special and nothing counts. And because nothing counts, anything can happen.
You can go and do whatever. Money's never bought me that. I guess enough money that I could like not have to come back to a job has bought me that, but it's not that much.
Use what money you have to buy yourself the time freedom to do what you love.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not travel. Obviously,
Maybe some
for
people
you and
don't
me,
love it.
is.
Some people like don't care about it.
Yeah.
Some people don't care about the outdoors, and some people do. But man, it's just great when you have nowhere to go. It happens after like a week or two usually.
Yeah. Well, your initial anxieties wear off, and pretty soon, you are fully present, and you realize you can do anything.
Yeah. Anyway, I love it. I got to figure out a way to really describe it to people.
Right.
All right, let's wrap it up.
We can do one more location too, but
Okay.
We can go back to the apartment and find a cafe. I mean, this is pretty classic, but I don't know if
It's a classic way to wrap up. In the sunset, I feel like they can see us okay. The cameras now are fucking crazy. But anyway, the book is The Vagabond's Way. Guys, just get it. There's a link at the bottom of the screen or the bottom of the podcast. You can buy it, Kindle, audiobook, or the real book. You can't fit it in your pocket and walk around with it, but like the other one, you can't roll it up and stick it in there. But it's great. It's great reading. And it has already gotten me 2.5 chapters in, has gotten me the fucking right away though. It was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. If you dream of travel, it's a book for you.
Yeah.
Or if you know someone who does, it's the
get it for I've bought Vagabonding for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I think you'd love this. You should read it. I know you've talked about wanting to go to New Zealand or something like that. Just read this book and see what it does to you. I feel like this will do that same thing.
Yeah, I say in the introduction chapter, if you stop reading it because it doesn't fit in your bag for a trip you've decided you can no longer take, then this is your book.
Yeah.
You know, then the book has done its job, right?
Yeah. Anyway, travel's amazing. It's cool to be in Paris doing this. Thank you for getting me here. I would not have come without you.
You bet.
So,
well, let's have you write some kick-ass essays so you can have your book.
All right.
We'll come back and we'll do a podcast about your book.
There you go. Thanks.
Your travel book.
Yeah. That deadline actually very much helped me finish a little bit of it.
What did?
The deadline.
Oh, the deadline.
Like, hey,
yeah,
you got to
yeah.
submit this by this date. And I'm like, all right, I'll work on that.
The process is so much different for what you're versus comedy. You know.
Yeah.
It's a different monster.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whoa. Ah. Oh my God. Look how. Wow. Well, that is the episode, everybody. That's so fucking cool. Oh. It completely flipped over. It's the fucking Titanic. Look how so blue on the bottom. Whoa. It's a, oh, you see that one? What the hell? Whoa. It's like fat chicks having a bath. Like the fucking kind you cut out of the house with a crane. That kind of fat chick having a fucking bath. You got to put them in a lake to get. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you, Rolf Potts, for coming in. Go to his writing workshop in Paris every summer. Oh my God. It's the best. You guys should really take it. He'll tell you how to express this stuff. I don't know how to express nature other than in videos or pictures. Activities and stuff, yeah, but not nature. Whoa, calving. CALVING. Take his Paris writing workshop like I did, like Small Brain American did, every summer in this city that this episode was in. Go to pariswritingworkshops.com. I am going to go back to another one. I loved it. You should too. His podcast, Deviate with Rolf Potts, I've been on a lot. And his books, The Vagabond's Way, when you want to feel it, you know. Vagabonding, when you want to plan it. And Marco Polo didn't go there when you want to hear about it. Instagram, @Rolf Potts. Follow him. Let him know that you love this episode and how cool he is. Ask him any questions. Damn, that was cool. And YouTube at Vagabonding 2007. He's barely on YouTube. Guys, by the way, I should tell you, I don't think I've ever told you this before. Happy New Year's, by the way. I'm on, a lot of comics. They won different platforms. It was Dane Cook won MySpace. Chris D'Elia won Vine. Joe Rogan won podcasts. I want to win none of those. Who won YouTube? Andrew Schultz. Well, I'm fixing to win All Trails. Yeah, I'm on All Trails. You should follow me. I've never told anybody. I'm on All Trails. Follow me at Ari Shaffir. I've got a ton of reviews on there of stuff like this. I'm on this trail right now. It's actually the most up-to-date way to find me. By the time this comes out, Happy New Year's. I'll be, I won't be here anymore, but All Trails, I'll post this today. You'll know exactly what day I did it. Yeah, alltrails.com / well, I don't know if it's a slash, but Ari Shaffir. Find me on there. I think I got a picture of myself in front of Machu Picchu. Another hike I did that's on All Trails. Thank you very much for Alan Caffey for editing this episode. This is so cool. How crazy. This is how much different Patagonia is, from the intro bumper to the now bumper to the outro. This is all part of the same region, more or less. Alan Caffey for editing today's episode. YMH for producing the episode and all episodes. Next week, Katie Nolan will be on, and we're going to talk about all the barriers to traveling yourselves as a New Year's resolution episode. The Trippies will be in 2 weeks because I won't have time for it. But Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you for a successful 2005. And the reason this isn't nominated for Best Pictures or Best Episode is only because it was a reboot from Ari Shaffir's Skeptic Tank, a now defunct podcast. That was so cool. That was cool. Oh, it's so cool. You can hear parts smashing. Oh, please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, guys. This is a YouTube podcast. I don't know anything that's more of a YouTube podcast than this one. All right. Well, thank you very much, Rolf Potts, the fucking man. If he's a 10 travel, I'm about a 7 or 6.5. I travel for comedy. I'm a 14, but for life, I'm nothing. God damn. Tim Ferriss owes his whole fucking career to Rolf Potts. He credits it with it. Rolf has been on the Tim Ferriss podcast a bunch. Because Tim was reading Vagabonding. It was it's freed me. I would like to say that about myself too, but I was already in Cambodia on a 4-month trip while I was reading it. But it did legitimize what I was doing. God damn, this is cool. My hands are cold. Let's call this an episode. I'm done. Thank you very much. Look at that. Hey! Fuck. Yo! Dude, does that work? Yo! This place rules! Next week. See you guys. Wow!